Azadine and his sister Ariel literally popped out of a dude. Yep, dark curses sure are wild. Our boy arrived with 0 eyes, just smooth, creepy flesh. The Herald clan boss naturally voted for instant execution, calling it an act of mercy. Right, but Aldous dropped a massive plot twist. Plot armor activated. Azadine had perfect vision without eyeballs. Meanwhile, Ariel bagged the legendary ultra-rare eyes. She was a total martial arts cheat code. An absolute prodigy. Azadine total punching bag. The kid puked just from jogging. Even his overpowered sister finally lost her mind. She straight up sliced his blank face. Her excuse: scars look way cooler than creepy smooth skin. Sister of the year. Cue the training montage. A literal cannibal elf adopted him, forging our weakling into a pure revenge machine. From then on, he became a human summon. Draw a triangle, drop the clan badge, and boom, instant Azadine. Meanwhile, Ariel hit the ultimate traitor button against the clan. Fast forward a few years, they are just an urban legend. Until some psycho noble was playing a twisted game. He strung dudes from trees, forcing their wives to hold them up. Drop your arms and your husband gets a permanent necktie. Talk about toxic relationships. It was the ultimate nightmarish stamina test. Only one miserable couple somehow survived the roster. This tyrant boss, flexing his divine king bloodline, ordered the ultimate deadlift. Hold your man or he hangs. Drop him and his brain runs out of juice, he sneered. Her desperate tears totally bounced off the villain's ego. The local master swordsman just stood there like a fancy prop. You do not mess with divine bloodline elites. The boss's word was absolute. But Mr. Swordsman was sweating buckets of moral panic on the inside. He knew it was super messed up. The tyrant started whipping the poor wife. Combo hits kept piling up. Blood everywhere, but her grip was iron. Gravity and pain were no match for her stubbornness. The villain got bored of his own game and went off to chill. By sunset, game over for the rest of the lobby. The other wives crashed, taking their husbands straight to the grave. But our star player, still shaking, still holding, her eyes practically forgot how to blink. The husband begged her to just run. Hard pass, she said. Running on 0 health, she pulled a secret gold coin, sketched a messy triangle in the dirt, and dropped the shiny loot dead center. The classic summoning circle, a premium ticket to page the legendary heretic clan heralds. God-tier assassins who eat divine nobles for breakfast. Most call it a fairy tale. But hey, desperation breeds creativity. Midnight hits. The guilt-tripping swordsman sneaks back with water. Match is over, just run, he whispered. She chugged the water, hit a quick respawn, and marched right back to her miserable deadlift. Re-gripping her husband like an absolute boss, she smirked. Name, I will tell my legendary assassin not to kill you. The swordsman stormed off, gripping his angst. Cool story, but ghost assassins are not real, he grumbled. If his boss caught him playing nurse, it was an instant game over anyway. The summon lag, 3 whole days. So the waiting game began. Night number 3. Her server finally crashed. Her grip vanished. But her lifeless body literally stayed standing. It took a literal breeze to finally push her rigid corpse over. Talk about insane core strength. The swordsman found her totally peaceful. And right on cue for the dramatic entrance. A mysterious dude spawned in. The myth was real. Zebek felt his aura, and it screamed pure supernatural spookiness. Twitch and you lose your head. Do not look back. Zebek gulped. You, the herald. Bingo. You a knight or just a boy scout, the assassin mocked. Zebek, holy knight of the king's church, he puffed up. Just checking, the herald shrugged. So, are you the one who dropped the coin or what? A holy boy hiring a heretic. Now that is prime entertainment, he chuckled darkly. Zebek's ego took massive psychic damage. The disrespect was real, and he was getting salty. But the herald already solved the puzzle. Dead girl equals contractor. Free gold coin for 0 labor. Best day ever. So what is the drama, the assassin asked. Zebek bargained. Put the shiny stick away, give me space, and I will spill the tragic lore. Surprisingly chill, the masked killer clicked his blade away and casually moonwalked a solid distance back. The holy knight was sweating. This guy's vibe was way too spooky, like a literal glitch in reality. Our herald, 0 stress. He was way too overpowered to care about sneak attacks. Plus, a holy knight should not be a coward, right? Zebek, thoroughly confused, blurted out. Bro, are you a wizard? The herald just shrugs. Magic? Nah, just everyone else in his clan. Zebek raises a skeptical eyebrow, basically saying, Bro, you expect me to believe that wasn't magic. The herald drops a casual flex. When your physical stats are maxed out, it literally looks like magic to normal folks. Zebek's brain completely buffers. He demands a name and a rank, but the mysterious guy just hits him with the classic anime silent treatment. Trying to play the diplomatic route, the Holy Knight drops his own title again. I'm Zebek of the King's Church, hoping a little polite networking will crack him. And it actually works. The man finally speaks. I am Azadine of the 108 Spirits, the Emperor's Herald. Wait, the 108 Spirits? That's literally the lowest trash tier in his entire clan. But this guy's overpowered aura absolutely screams main character energy. Azadine cuts straight to the chase. A deal is a deal. He demands the full backstory of the absolute mess that happened here. As Zebek spills the dark tragedy, the magical contract locks in. The atmosphere turns heavy, and a talking owl randomly drops onto Azadine's shoulder. The bird basically gloats. My client died before I could deliver the info. Easiest gold coin I ever made. The Holy Knight is flabbergasted by this greedy bird. Meanwhile, Azadine ignores the drama, already packing up to bounce to his next quest. But before our overpowered herald can vanish, Zebek shouts out to stop him. You can't just pocket the cash and run, he yells. Azadine shoots back smoothly. Finishing this job would only put my master in grave danger. Zebek's righteous anger reaches a boiling point. He glares at this so-called soulless heathen and declares he's not going anywhere. Out comes the holy blade, but Azadine roasts him alive. You'll swing at me, but keep that sword sheathed when real injustice happens. Ouch. Critical hit. Zebek visibly flinches. That verbal smackdown hits harder than a physical blow, sending chills down his holy spine. Azadine presses the attack. Who are you really mad at? Me. Or yourself for playing blind? While innocent people suffer, the knight's ego completely shatters. Driven by pure defensive rage, he barks back, "What the heck do you know about it?" Azadine totally changes the subject. Ever look up at the stars? Do you know the constellations and their epic myths? Zebek is completely thrown off. Why are we talking about astronomy right now? Azadine coolly explains that two people can look at the exact same sky and see totally different things. For the dreamers, those stars paint epic legends of mythological heroes fighting destiny. But for the cynical, it's just a bunch of pathetic, flickering dots in an empty void. It's the same with this tragedy, he continues. You see the horror, while the corrupted soldiers around you just see another Tuesday. Zebek's tough guy act crumbles. He bitterly admits he's no different. He was utterly powerless to stop this absolute bloodbath. He's trapped by his own vows. A church knight, forced to blindly worship the very nobles committing these atrocities. Azadine drops his guard. I'm not here to fight you, Tin Can. If your heart actually breaks for that poor girl, then we aren't enemies. Slash. Faster than the eye can track, Azadine cuts down a hanging corpse. Then he drops a wildly casual question. Got a shovel? Wait, what? The dude actually wants to give these tragic victims a proper respectful burial. Zebek's jaw hits the floor. The villainous noble castle literally ordered these bodies to be left hanging as zombie bait. Leaving them up there was meant to be a brutal flex. Giving them a funeral, that's straight up declaring war on the local tyrant. No shovel, no problem. Azadine literally starts digging a grave with his bare hands, like an absolute madman. Touched by this crazy flex of empathy, the Holy Knight grabs his massive sword and stabs it right into the dirt. The blindfolded herald smirks. Instead of swinging at his neck, the knight uses his sacred blade as a gardening tool. Together, they dig graves for the fallen couple. Then Azadine does the unthinkable. He starts chanting a holy prayer to the Archangel of Wisdom and Mercy. He respectfully prays for the dead. But wait a minute, a sketchy herald using a prayer from the Order of Saviors, that is illegal levels of ironic. Azadine casually shrugs, saying he just likes their vibe. Zebek is mind-blown, abandoning your birthright to follow a rival heresy. The herald drops a philosophical nuke. If I can't fight for what's actually right, then being born at all was just a massive waste of time. Zebek, genuinely curious now, asks, what do you even like about the Saviors? But Azadine hits him with the silent treatment again. Instead of answering, he whips out a bow and knocks an arrow. His radar is tingling. Heads up. A big shot is walking into my firing line. The knight whips his head around in panic. Cue the ominous boss music. A whole squad of corrupted soldiers is swarming them. The spoiled young master rolls up on horseback, smirking like a cartoon villain. Hey knight, you got a crush on that dead farmer girl. He taunts him ruthlessly. She's pretty cute for a filthy peasant. You should have told me you were playing her bodyguard. The absolute audacity of this guy. And he brought 20 fully armed goons with him. Even a holy knight is getting folded in a 1 versus 20 situation. The arrogant noble squints. Who's the blindfolded edgelord pointing a bow at my face? Spoiler alert. Azadine doesn't waste time chatting. He lets the arrow fly. Bam. It completely bypasses the noble and perfectly snipes a random soldier right in the eye. Instant one-hit knockout. The entire squad drops their jaws in pure shock. Bro really just hit a no-scope headshot through a crowded mob. The real battle has just begun. Without missing a beat, the so-called heretic let another arrow fly. The projectile ripped through the air, forcing the panic-stricken guards to turtle up behind their shields. But, spoiler alert, those metal plates were completely useless. Boom. One poor guy took the full force of the blast. His shield exploded into confetti, and he hit the dirt foaming at the mouth. Talk about a dramatic exit. The rest of the squad froze in pure terror. What kind of cheat code was this guy using? Even Zebek dropped his jaw. That arrow did not just pierce armor. It slithered right through it like a hungry snake, dropping a massive truth bomb. Azadine finally answered their earlier question. A person's true value comes from their actions, not their fancy family tree. If you have divine blood but act like absolute trash, you are definitely no noble. With that epic mic drop, he pointed his bow straight at the spoiled young master, who completely lost his mind and started screaming insults. He threw a massive tantrum, ordering Zebek to wipe this soulless heretic off the map. But our masked hero just hit the jump button, soaring way above their heads. The grunts practically wet their pants as he took aim. Thwip, another perfect bullseye, and another guard bit the dust. Why settle for one? He loaded up double ammo, sending 2 more heavily armored chumps straight to dreamland, coming in for a landing. A few brave idiots tried to skewer him. Instead, he casually surfed right on top of their spears. Using them as a springboard, he launched back into the sky, pulling off a sick mid-air spin. Triple shot activated. 3 arrows planted right into 3 unlucky faces. One even gave the young master a free haircut, leaving him totally paralyzed with fear. Death was way too easy for this spoiled brat. Azadine wanted to ruin his whole career instead. After treating the elite guards like bowling pins, the sweating noble shrieked for his name. The answer, just call me Azadine. And like a teleporting ghost, he whispered from right behind the guy's neck, proudly declaring himself a herald. The surviving goons gasped in horror at the title, but just as the tension peaked, oops, our guy realized his quiver was completely empty. No arrows, no problem. He just delivered a brutal right hook straight to the noble's jaw. The spoiled brat flew right off his horse and ate dirt. With 0 ammo left, he dramatically tossed the bow aside. Time for close combat. While the pampered boss rolled around crying about his black eye, a sneaky knight charged from behind, roaring like a complete idiot. Azadine just sidestepped like it was a dance move and casually punched his lights out too. The warm-up is over. He mocked the crowd, daring them to step up now that he finally had a real blade in his hands. But wait, plot twist. He suddenly jammed his sword right into the dirt. The remaining knights' sweat dropped, wondering why this maniac was so obsessed with castration. They genuinely thought he was a complete psycho. Meanwhile, his pet owl just watched from a branch, judging everyone silently. With the trash officially taken out, our sword-wielding menace strutted right over to the trembling young master. Payback time. Bullies who torture commoners always get what is coming to them. But just as he readied his attack, a massive flashbang lit up the area. The guards clutched their burning eyes, but the snobby noble did not even blink. Guess that fancy holy bloodline was actually good for something. Unfazed by the light show, our half-blind heretic swung his blade without hesitation. A massive splash of mysterious liquid erupted from the noble's neck. Talk about a messy critical hit. The brat dropped to his knees, screaming his absolute lungs out. He frantically checked his own pulse, completely baffled that he was not actually dead. Azadine just smirked at the pathetic display. Did this rich boy seriously not realize what was happening? Grabbing him by his perfectly styled hair, Azadine listened to the coward beg, offering buckets of gold and screaming about his sacred family name. Too bad for him. A sacred title means absolutely nothing to a sanctity slayer. Azadine rejected the bribes instantly, while Zebek happily enjoyed the show from the sidelines. Realizing his wallet could not save him, the weeping master desperately hollered for his loyal holy knight to step in. The knight's response: he conveniently covered his eyes, claiming he was magically blind and could not see a thing. What a legendary troll. The noble lost his mind, spitting curses and demanding his VIP rescue. In his twisted brain, stomping on commoners totally did not justify getting ignored by his own bodyguard. Honestly, Azadine was doing him a huge favor. Now the guy could live the rest of his life with a fresh, much lighter perspective. Smiling like a true menace, our hero grabbed a very tiny, very sharp knife. He kindly advised the brat to keep a positive attitude about his new situation. And then, snip snip, the ultimate punishment began, echoing with the most high-pitched screams you have ever heard. Eyes bulging out of his skull, the X-Man shrieked like a banshee. Azadine just brushed his hands off, proud that he enforced the Emperor's law with such surgical precision. Completely traumatized and missing his favorite body parts, the young master simply passed out in the dirt. Game over for the bloodline. But just as the comedy act ended, the Holy Knight finally decided to draw his shiny sword. Looks like playtime is over. The knight coldly declared that nobody drops the Emperor's name without catching hands. Round 2. Fight. Justice, please. In the eyes of the church, the guy was a walking heresy. Gripping his blade, Azadine smirks. You aren't like those other church dogs. The Holy Knight flares up, offended by the sudden roast. Azadine just chuckles. Bro. That was a compliment. The rest are just spoiled brats. Kicked to the curb, over. Petty family inheritance drama, leaving Zebek totally speechless. The heretic teases his speed. Catch me if you can. See ya when destiny calls. Poof. He melts into the shadows like a total ninja. Just a dead noble and one confused knight remained. Taking down Azadine of the heralds. Yeah, right, that guy only leaves behind permanent emotional damage. Spoiled brats exiled over inheritance. The words loop in Zebek's head. Wait a minute. That oddly specific insult. Applied perfectly to him. Emotional damage confirmed. Staring blankly at the sunrise, Zebek questions his whole life. Meanwhile, peasants are aggressively begging the local lord for a tax break. Have mercy, my lord. Everyone is running away to become hobos. We are literally starving into zombies. Bandits and monsters are bullying us. We are way too broke for taxes. Margrave Kazel just rolls his eyes. You guys are so embarrassing. At this rate, you will be crying for my snacks next. The peasants grovel, swearing their health bars are literally at 1%. Typical commoner behavior, Kazel scoffs. But fine, I guess I can play the generous hero today. The peasants cheer like they won the lottery. Really? Yep, just one tiny fetch quest. Fail and you all hang. The crowd instantly panics. Suddenly flashy red flames erupt from Kazel's palm. Chill out, he smirks. I just need one piece of paper. A magical look pops up. Behold my true power. The peasants just blink. Sir, we literally cannot read, let alone understand shiny magic books. Even you boneheads can find this. Want it bad enough, and it will magically drop like a cheat code. Find me a book like this. The reward, 3 years of zero taxes, plus 50 giant sacks of premium carbs. Jaws hit the floor. Wait, we do not even need the title for this blind scavenger hunt. Kazel drops the bomb. It is a copy of the Divine King's grimoire. Absolute terror washes over the crowd. Suddenly, a sneaky snake slides right out of his kilt and morphs into a seductive witch. Dropping that name in public? Big mistake, honey, she purrs. Literally every server on the continent is hunting that item. The gossip is out of control. We need to snatch at least one page before the tryhards get to it. Kazel glares. What do you want, snake lady? She sighs, dropping bad news. Our precious son got totally wrecked. Fake news, he snaps. My elite squad would not lose, especially with Zebek carrying the team. They got ganked by a herald, she fires back. Hearing that forbidden word, the Margrave's face instantly turns murderous. Those crazy heralds want the grimoire, just to break their own cursed job class. Is my boy dead? Worse, she cringes. He lost his eyes, and his family jewels got completely snipped. Deploy everyone, Kazel roars. Wipe those heralds off the map. The witch smirks, taking his hand. I will ring up the commander. Kazel shrugs off the tragedy. If my heir got completely neutered, we will just have to bake a new one. Squeezing his hand seductively, the snake witch gives a deeply wicked smile. Cut to Azad literally baking in a desert. I am dying, he gasps. You stupid owl. You swore this was a 2-day trip. And why did you have to trash talk? The literal emperor's messenger. The feathery sidekick just gives him the silent treatment. Thanks to the emperor, heralds are universally hated as soulless saint killers. And thanks to that dramatic escape earlier, Azzy dropped all his luggage and speed ran straight into a barren wasteland. Now he is at 0 mana and 0 hydration. All thanks to his feathered GPS. The owl finally squeaks an apology, promising backup is on the way. Rustle, rustle. Azid readies his blade. Great, now what? Ghost mobs. Creepy blue flames light up the dark. He looks up, only to see glowing corpses hanging from the branches. But instead of a boss fight, the spooky spirits just bow down in pure gratitude. Your revenge quest is complete, Azid sighs. Go rest in peace. His ghostly clients point to a crusty old well. Wait. Water. He dive bombs the well, aggressively pulling up the bucket like his life depends on it. But as he grabs his much-needed drink, bingo. A glowing legendary page from the Divine King's grimoire is just sitting inside. Before they were the edgy Herald clan, they were the Aragasa, a bunch of absolute mad lads who literally surfed a mega typhoon straight into the land of Wibris. Now, Wibris was supposed to be a cozy timeshare ruled by 8 divine kings of the Yiggy's family. But plot twist. One greedy guy decided sharing was for losers and hogged all 8 thrones. That's right, Emperor Yislot flexed so hard, he completely crushed his 7 sacred brothers and slapped them right under his tyrannical boot. But being a dictator makes you super paranoid. Homeboy went totally off the rails, desperately trying to wipe out every single trace of his defeated siblings. Enter our typhoon-surfing Aragasa, just looking for a decent plot of land. Yislot hands them the grimoire Song of the Yellow Bird, plus a super spooky spirit called the Emperor's Voice. The catch: just a tiny soul-binding contract. They signed on the dotted line, officially becoming his royal heralds. Talk about a terrible career choice. Their hands were instantly stained with divine blood. They became the ultimate triple threat: his sword, his spy, and his personal Grim Reaper. Did some fancy noble complain about the tax rate? Slice. The heralds chopped down anyone who dared to defy the boss. Now Wibris was huge on reincarnation and eternal vibes. So permanently deleting souls. Yeah, that was basically the ultimate unforgivable taboo. Karma eventually cashed in. The Emperor kicked the bucket, and his empire exploded back into 8 kingdoms. The heralds totally ruined, hated by everyone and branded as soulless freaks. But wait, here comes the funniest punchline. The boss is dead. But guess what? The fine print says, the employment contract is still completely active. Talk about a toxic workplace. Even from the grave, the Emperor had them permanently chained as his eternal errand boys. Fast forward to our main guy, Azadine. He just snagged a page from the Divine King's book, the literal battery pack of the Emperor's power. He gives the local spirits a quick thumbs up, telling them, it's finally nap time. His master plan: catch all these shiny pages to break his cursed 9-to-5 job. Enter his sassy owl companion with a reality check. Excuse me. Calling it a curse is super disrespectful, the bird squawks. It is an honorable duty. Though honestly, it's incredibly weird that a slacker like you found this. Destiny clearly has a twisted sense of humor. The owl stares him down. Why the long face, buddy? Every herald would literally kill for this prize. Let's review the escape plan. Step 1. Grind out contract quests to hoard 100,000 coins. Step 2. Steal the entire Divine King's book. Pull that off and boom. Freedom from eternal middle management. Azadine sighs, admitting it's the ultimate fantasy for his miserable clan. But he's sweating bullets. If this little cheat code goes viral, every maniac in the world is going to come hunting for him. Why? Because his own dad was the genius who shredded the book to begin with. Thanks, Pops. Cut to our hero currently roasting like a marshmallow as he drags himself through a scorching desert. But he's not alone. Lurking behind the distant dunes, a spicy blonde sniper is secretly spying on him. She spots the trader's kid and instantly starts hating. No talent, zero power, just a walking joke, she sneers. She squints, wondering if the rumors of him being a magicless loser are actually true. Her sidekick shrugs. Not sure about a curse boss, but his magic stats are definitely at absolute zero. The blonde holds back a laugh. I heard he couldn't even pull a bowstring. Plus the dude wet the bed until he was 8. How is this clown doing a herald's job? Her buddy starts sweating, begging her to drop it. Come on, let's bounce. He's just the relative of some low-tier nobody. Totally not worth the drama. But Midium is craving chaos. Time for a pop quiz. Her friend panics, screaming that workers can't attack heralds. She just rolls her eyes. Rules are for losers, she smirks. If I beat him, I steal his job, and I literally can't lose. Her friend gulps. But he trains under crazy Elder Kazas. What if he's secretly a monster? Midium snorts so hard she nearly chokes. Please. You could train a potato under Kazas for 10 or 100 years, and it would still just be a potato. Still, it genuinely triggers her. How does a magicless trader's kid get to keep such a cool title? In her mind, he's just a useless seat warmer. A total scrub stealing the spotlight from obvious prodigies. Like her. Dripping with main character syndrome, she knocks an arrow and locks onto his skull. Bullseye in mind, the girl lets the lethal projectile rip. His back is turned. But our boy's danger senses tingle instantly. Meanwhile, cowardly Midium ducks behind a rock, totally dodging the kill cam. But when she peeks out for her dramatic victory, plot twist. A high-speed rock perfectly snipes her right in the forehead, bonk. Her sidekick practically has a heart attack. Out of nowhere, Azadine casually lands on their hiding spot, looming over the 2 wannabe assassins like an absolute boss. Staring down the bleeding mean girl, he drops the ultimate deadpan question. So, you the one throwing pointy sticks at my head. Panic mode activated. She instantly plays dumb. It was just a friendly hello, she stammers, sweating buckets as she wonders how this potato teleported right onto her face. Then she notices the ultimate flex. The absolute madman had snatched her arrow mid-air and calmly tucked it right into his own quiver. Azadine crosses his arms, demanding their IDs. Swallowing her pride, she squeaks, I am Midiam of the Ether bloodline. And this is Ishmael. Trying to save face, she claims they are his new interns. Azadine raises a single eyebrow. Ah yes, the classic assist your boss by attempting to assassinate him method. Very helpful. Midiam actually triples down on her lie. Your quiver looked a little empty. I was just doing airmail delivery for your ammo supply, she counters smoothly. Azadine isn't buying a single word. He instantly figures out this rich girl got incredibly bored back at the sacred land and decided to crash his miserable road trip. He waves his hand dismissively. All right, playtime's over, kids. Go back to daycare. Boom, critical hit to her ego. Calling her a child was her ultimate trigger. I am an elite of the Ether bloodline, she screeches, demanding VIP treatment. But our herald just yawns. Newsflash, princess. Fancy DNA means absolutely squat in my clan. He lays down the cold hard law. If you're crashing my party, you're the grunt workers. Bottom of the food chain. Got it. But he cracks his knuckles. You can't just shoot a guy and walk away with a warning. He flashes a terrifying smirk, deciding it's the perfect time for a brutal crash course on how the real world punishes stupid mistakes. Midiam stared in utter disbelief. The pathetic rumors were a total lie. Bullied. Not a chance. He radiated absolute dominance. He demanded a proper apology for her total lack of manners. Respect first, favors later. He pushed further. Are you apologizing as a buddy or as a proud Aragasa? Checkmate. The flustered girl swallowed her pride, apologizing to Herald Azadine in the name of her clan. Apology accepted. But our hero shot her a cold glare. Never point your arrows at people. Out here, weapons aren't cute little toys. Draw a bow, and you better be ready to kill. He bluntly told the kids to go home. He definitely didn't need babysitters. Then, with perfect comedic timing, he asked for some water. But Midiam's pride was wounded. She pointed her weapon, challenging Azadine to a duel. Ishmael panicked, begging her not to poke the literal sleeping dragon. She finally realized the truth. He wasn't some weakling fool. He was strong, sharp, and dripping with arrogance. But backing down now. Too embarrassing. Driven by pure stubbornness, Midiam declared she would snatch his title of herald right here, right now. Azadine just sighed. Ariel was seriously a terrible influence on these reckless brats. The stakes. She wins. She gets his title. He wins. He owns her soul and everything she has. Ariel was annoying enough, but this brat was crossing the line. She really needed to quit while she still had her dignity, because honestly, Ariel was the only monster capable of taking down a herald. His reputation might be trash, but his power was very real. Midiam dramatically marched exactly 100 steps away, locking in the challenge. Flash. The sacred pact activated. The herald had accepted. An imposing voice boomed from a magical owl. It was the Emperor's spirit, the ultimate referee tied to every herald. With the Emperor watching, running away was completely off the table. Reality hit her like a truck. It was do or die. Fast forward a bit, and the trembling friends were awkwardly handing our hero a water pouch. Ishmael sweated bullets, totally confused. During the fight, Azadine had flexed an insane archery art, sacrificing pinpoint accuracy for absolute rapid-fire chaos. It was the ultimate Aragasa technique. He rained down a merciless, inescapable storm of arrows upon the poor girl. Panicking, she desperately threw up a magic barrier to survive the onslaught. But the sheer speed was too overwhelming. A stray arrow clipped her. Wait, wasn't this guy supposed to be clueless about magic? Yet he casually pulled off the legendary yellow crane art. Now he was just chilling, sipping water like he hadn't just humiliated her. How? Flashback to her grand attack. She had bravely charged forward, perfectly dodging his strikes like a total boss. She swung her sword, confident she had caught him slipping behind a rock. But as her spinning blade connected, his body simply vanished like a ghost. An illusion. Ishmael screamed, warning her of the strike coming from behind. Our hero swung his blade without hesitation. Midiam barely managed to summon her magic shield. But the herald aggressively swatted her defense away with his bare arm. Leaving her completely wide open, he drove a devastating punch right into her gut. Bam! The massive impact sent the noble girl flying backward, crashing hard into solid stone. Her friend burst into terrified tears, screaming her name. A supposedly low-born traitor had just utterly crushed a noble prodigy. Furious and crying, her best buddy foolishly charged at the herald, screaming insults. The herald did not even blink. He coldly announced that Midiam gambled her life for a title, and she lost. She was now his absolute property. And since Ishmael interrupted a sacred duel, congratulations, he just became a slave too. The two proud kids bawled their eyes out, absolutely devastated by their humiliating defeat. Unable to handle the shame, Midiam reached for a dagger to end it all. Smack. The ruthless heretic casually slapped the blade away. He totally saw that coming. She collapsed in a sobbing mess. As her friend rushed over to comfort her, the heretic's voice was ice cold. You lost. Your life isn't yours to end anymore. You only die when I say you can. Total villain vibes. She had risked everything without even knowing the rules. He honestly found her painful naivety exhausting. Deciding they had wet their pants enough, he casually granted them their freedom. The two kids stared at him, mouths completely wide open in shock. Let us just pretend this embarrassing beatdown never happened. It would look terrible on your permanent record. He made it super clear. He had zero need for whiny slaves. He shooed them away, telling them to run back to their safe little sacred land. But kids never listen. The two stubborn friends rebelliously trailed behind our protagonist through the scorching desert anyway. Midiam puffed out her cheeks, angrily boasting that he was foolish to throw away such a brilliant, talented young slave like her. Azadine just smirked. If you were actually talented, you wouldn't have lost in 5 seconds. Maybe stick to an arranged marriage instead of challenging adults to duels. Emotional damage. He looked her dead in the eye. No more dueling. Ever. His logic was terrifyingly practical. If you want someone dead, just sneak up and off them in the shadows. Why politely warn them first? It was the most he had spoken all day, dropping assassination tips out of sheer awkward concern. The girl just blinked, calling this brutal concept refreshing, while her friend's sweat dropped in the background. Let us talk about ancient history. The Araga clan and the Emperor once forged a blood pact. A simple trade of shadowy services. Break it, and you face absolute ruin. Back in the day, this magical contract was the ultimate badge of honor, a true mark of prestige. But when the Emperor finally kicked the bucket, that shiny badge mutated into a nightmare curse. Death apparently does not void a warranty. The clan was doomed to serve as the Emperor's ghostly heralds until the end of time itself. But hey, even eternal torment has a loophole. A tiny sliver of hope finally cracked through the despair. The clan crushed their rivals in the Succession War and snatched the legendary Divine King's Manual. Jackpot right, wrong. Some backstabbing punk stole it and ran. Enter Akra, the world's most hated runaway. They dragged him back in heavy chains, screaming at him to cough up the book before the curse melted his bones. Hand over the manual, they roared, promising him pain beyond mortal comprehension if he dared to refuse. They threw every torture method in the book at him. But their grand hopes completely shattered into dust. The madman had already ripped the legendary manual to shreds. He scattered the priceless pages like confetti, all over the treacherous Heart Mountain range. Naturally, the curse smote him on the spot. But the magic glitched in the most absurd way possible. Before biting the dust, this dude somehow gave birth to twins. Yep, miraculous male pregnancy triggered by an ancient curse. Meet Azadine and Ariel, the twin sons of the legendary traitor. Talk about polar opposites. Ariel grew up to be the clan's most overpowered powerhouse. And Azadine, well, he was famous for being the most useless idiot alive. Midiam scoffed at whoever started that ridiculous rumor. Meanwhile, our guy laid down the law. I am not your babysitter. Do not follow me. The girl immediately played the innocent card. We are not stalking you. We just have a special delivery. Behold a letter from the Salasma regional chief, an absolutely grumpy old geezer who despised heretics like him. The letter basically said, I will ignore your messy paperwork if you go play fetch with those scattered divine pages. Your performance review depends on it. Reading between the passive-aggressive lines, the truth was glaringly obvious. The other heralds definitely knew about the missing pages. He casually mentioned the rumors and side-eyed the girl to see if she was in the loop. She nodded eagerly. And then, with zero filter, she blurted out that everyone knew his dad was the famous clan traitor. Ishmael nearly had a heart attack. He viciously stomped on her foot to shut her up. Our hero just sighed. Save the drama. I know you know my tragic backstory. Well, complain all he wants. His next stop had to be Salasma. For a lovely chat with that grumpy chief. He gave them a deadpan thanks for the mail delivery, noting they were all awkwardly walking the exact same dirt path anyway. Spit out whatever intel you have, he ordered. And since he did not technically own the road, he guessed they could tag along like stray puppies. The girl practically vibrated with joy. Her eyes sparkled like massive anime stars as she happily skipped right behind him. Night falls. Camp is set. But before anyone can even snore, our main character kicks them awake. Get up. We are moving. Groaning like zombies, they stumble toward the sweet sound of a water spring. But just as they reach out for a drink, a harsh voice barks from the shadows. An armed thug blocks their path, aggressively declaring a sudden monopoly on Mother Nature's water supply. Our hero sighs, way too tired to care. No fighting, just name your price. The thug smirks, claiming he wants their lives. Asan sweats, asking if diplomacy is completely off the table. The bandits burst out laughing, mocking the adult for talking too much, and roasting his weird fashion choice of wearing a mask in the woods. The boss yells the classic villain line, "Grab the girl, kill the dudes." Cut to 2 seconds later. Every single bandit is face-planting the dirt, crying for their mommies. "We are just innocent civilians," they bawled. Ishmael blinked at them in disbelief. "Bro, you literally just tried to rob us." Through ugly tears, they confessed they were drafted by Kazel's kids, forced into some massive pyramid scheme to hunt down missing book pages. "We do not even know what a book looks like," they wailed. "We were just wandering aimlessly. Thank the heavens we met a saint like you." The girl squinted with ultimate suspicion. "These guys are 100% full of crap." Azadine scratched his head, pointing out that this road is basically a tourist trap for merchants. Why lie here out of all places? Midian's solution: instant murder. She casually pulled her dagger to silence them permanently. Our hero swiftly intervened. "Chill out, psycho. We do not kill randomly," she argued back with terrifying logic. "Even if they are saints, snitches get stitches. Dead men leave no tracking trails." Aiden played the moral high ground. "You cannot just slice people up for pure convenience. Everyone deserves a second chance, right?" The bandits aggressively nodded, kissing the dirt and praising his legendary mercy like he was a literal god descending from heaven. "Bless your noble soul," they chanted, laying the cheap flattery on thick. Our hero's patience instantly snapped. "Shut your mouths, right now." The goons froze in absolute terror. They finally realized they were messing with a genuine monster from the Herald clan, especially when one of them looked over and saw their buddy's eyeball absolutely pulverized by a single casual punch. Bam! A glorious bone-crunching right hook lands squarely on the ambushing bandit's face. "Twitch and your heads go boom," he warns cheerfully. The thugs panic. Wait, didn't he promise mercy? Oh, he is totally sparing their lives. Right after he permanently rearranges their anatomy, obviously. Cannot mug people without working limbs, right? Flawless logic. His two sidekicks just nod in absolute agreement. Up in the branches, a very traumatized owl watches the absolute beatdown unfold in dead silence. The crippled bandits hobble away in agony, furiously plotting a revenge they are way too weak to execute. Plot twist. A massive orc crashes the pity party, casually squashing one of the thugs like a human juice box. It snatches up bandit number 2, inspecting him like a suspiciously cheap midnight snack. Gulp. One down, the rest boxed up for leftovers. Turns out this big guy brought his entire goblin fan club along. Mine, the brute grunts, tossing a screaming bandit into his incredibly unhygienic takeout basket. While the goblins enjoy their human buffet, the giant zeroes in on a heavily fortified human village nearby. The big guy licks his lips. That is not a fortress, that is an all-you-can-eat meat buffet. Blissfully ignorant to the monster mukbang happening behind them, our trio casually rides off down the road. The herald was stunned by this ruthless vibe. Midian. She totally approved of the loot and cripple strategy. Walking a mile in someone else's shoes was honestly just way too much mental cardio for the herald. Turns out getting violently blinded drops your villain stats all the way back to level 1. The former tough guys were now starring in their own horror movie. Forced character development at its finest. Ishmael nodded sagely. Ah yes, aggressive and terrifying redemption, courtesy of their favorite heretic. Purifying souls via extreme physical trauma. Still, the whole philosophical ordeal was giving our main character a massive headache. He remembered some juicy gossip. Lord Caslow was desperately hunting down the Divine King's legendary guidebook. Ishmael dropped the lore. Caslow lost his heir status and needed that magical cheat code to level back up. A desperate politician is basically a walking red flag. Time for our hero to literally unmask himself. Stealth mode activated. They had to tiptoe until they crossed the borders of Caslow's doom domain. Mask off, his friends freeze, jaws hitting the dirt. The dude literally had 0 eyes in his sockets. He threw on some fresh rags to hide his face. Bro, how are you even walking without bumping into trees? Aiden just shrugged. He had been using a built-in wall hack since the day he was born. No eyes, no problem. The girl was practically vibrating with an unspoken comment. Spit it out, he sighed. Her brutal honesty, you would look hotter with battle scars. She figured he had top-tier visuals, but getting his face wrecked in some tragic accident made him lose his eyes. Better to rock cool anime scars than just have completely empty, creepy eye sockets. Her buddy hissed at her terrible manners. Surprisingly, our hero deadpanned. Funny, my attacker said, the exact same thing. When they asked who the absolute psycho was, he casually dropped the bomb. Oh, just my dear sister Ariel. Sis thought his blank face was too boring. A giant slash mark, much easier for her twisted imagination to handle. So she gave him a free, unrequested facial surgery. He faked blindness ever since, which honestly was great for avoiding eye contact. Midian blinked. Wait, do we need to play along with the blind guy routine? He waved her off. Nah, skip it. Fast forward to the end of the road and bingo, the exact same fortress that big hungry orc was marching toward. The entrance line was worse than a royal festival. Still, it was the perfect tutorial village to kickstart their quest. Time for some Oscar-worthy acting. He played the poor, lonely pilgrim flanked by two completely innocent orphans. He dramatically declared himself the Eyes of Pedon, leaving Ishmael utterly baffled. The guard totally bought it, completely missing the irony. Suddenly, the guards went full interrogation mode, violently stripping a random guy and confiscating his loot. That is just legalized mugging, Midian whispered. Ishmael sweated profusely. The security patch here got way too intense. Our hero's gamer senses tingled. They were not just being jerks, they were scanning the non-player character inventories for a specific quest item. Are you totally blind, buddy? A guard barked. Nope, he lied smoothly, claiming his two little orphans were just tour guides. Snagging some free intel from a local boomer, he learned the truth. Illegal bootlegs of the Divine King's book were floating around. Legend had it, some rogue herald pirated the original masterpiece, and now the bootleg chapters were popping up everywhere. Lord Castelow's goons were turning the place upside down to find them. And the culprits behind the chaos, three suspiciously white-haired dudes. Our heretic spotted two more absolute clowns just like Castle. Yeah, this screamed bad news. Cleaning up this mess was going to be a massive headache. A poor guy sobbed to a guard begging for his grocery money. Was the king's grimoire disguised as pocket change? The corrupt guard answered with a brutal gut punch, breaking his grip entirely. As he hit the dirt, the thug smirked. Hey, a magic book could disguise itself as coins. They promised a refund if it wasn't magical. The brave daughter stepped up, calling out their blatant robbery. These cowards called her a brat and actually threatened to slap a little girl. Dad jumped in like a human shield, roaring at the bullies to pick on adults. So they punched him again for good measure. The watching crowd was absolutely boiling with rage. While the scumbag lectured them on manners, Midian was practically breathing fire. Our hero chill as a cucumber. Midian was ready to throw hands, but he casually said, wait. Suddenly, the guards looked like they saw a ghost. Total chaos erupted with doors slamming. Why the sudden marathon? Then, the terrifying news finally dropped. Ogre alert. Our main character smirked. His super hearing had already caught their panicky whispers. Plot twist, the useless guards locked the gates. The furious crowd screamed to be let inside. Back at the guard camp stood Tarkvi Castle's precious legitimate son. He double-checked the lockdown. His men confirmed they found 0 magic books in the sweep. So their genius plan: grab the stolen loot and run. When asked for orders, Tarkvi boldly told his highly trained men to go slay the ogre. Yeah, trained for exactly 1 day, a brave soul stepped up, begging him to save the villagers. Tarkvi just laughed in his face. No knight title, no chance, buddy. Oh, the irony. The actual knight shoved his duties onto a rookie and fled in his carriage. While Captain Coward rolled out, the brave subordinate felt the earth quake. Outside, the villagers had a total meltdown. Was this the end? An all-you-can-eat monster buffet? Speak of the devil. A drooling horde of goblins and ogres burst onto the scene starving. A random villager watched his hometown turn into a disaster movie, completely losing hope. But our squad, they just cracked their knuckles as the monsters arrived. The locals grabbed torches and booked it. A lady yelled that the road was a death trap. Shoving a lantern at Ismail, she begged him to babysit her family. He promised to help. Meanwhile, Azadine realized playing the blind card made people way nicer. Genius tactic. With the fake heroes long gone, this town was a sitting duck. He rallied anyone who could swing a stick, telling them to hold the line fearlessly. It was a homemade defense to buy time. The dad from earlier puffed out his chest ready. His daughter instantly roasted him. Fight, he couldn't even peel an apple without hurting himself. She was absolutely disgusted that their supposed protectors had tossed them away. Midian was ready to explode. These trash knights were sacrificing innocent people just to save their skins. She gave Azadine a weird look. Why did an Auriga suddenly care? Our heretic just shrugged it off. He was totally ticked off too. Declaring playtime over, he grabbed his weapon and pulled a ninja vanish. The duo screamed at empty air. Back at the gate, the militia shook in their boots, pointing at the approaching wave of nightmares. Out stepped the final boss of ugliness, an absolute unit named Gulu. He stomped forward like a walking earthquake, shaking a meat basket and demanding a second course. He actually bragged about being an investment genius. Yes, a finance bro ogre. Seeing the packed village, this genius investor saw a massive buffet for his crew. The big boss charged, flattening the earth. Sweating bullets, the captain screamed to fire, and arrows flew. A massive storm of arrows tore through the sky, raining down on the monster horde. A few runts dropped, but the giant ogre just shrugged it off. Meanwhile, a weirdo goblin in a wolf skull barked orders to smash the gates. Like a green tidal wave, the goblin army rushed in for the kill. The captain screamed his lungs out. "Defend the walls. Fire everything you have." But these annoying pests actually brought shields. They blocked the volley, sprinting forward like absolute maniacs with axes raised. Suddenly, the ogre grabbed a gigantic boulder. He wound up like a baseball pitcher and completely obliterated the city gate. Panic hit the citizens like a truck. The monsters were finally breaking through. Desperate times call for desperate arrows. Cosette, the poor dad who caught a beating earlier, nervously knocked his bow. "Run for your life," his buddy yelled. But nearby, that sneaky masked goblin was hiding behind a rock, cooking up a spicy fire spell. As the fiery magic crackled, an absolutely evil grin spread across his ugly face. His shiny new stick actually worked. And wait. That meant the legendary Divine King's book was right in the neighborhood. Too bad our overpowered hero dropped in, casually stepping right on the little freak's head. Before the dust even settled, that oversized ogre chucked another massive rock. Cosette and his pal could only watch the jaw-dropping destruction. The big boss's throw hit like an absolute meteor strike. But plot armor saves the day. Azadine flashed in with god-tier speed, snatching the archers and coolly volunteering to guard the gate. "Who the heck are you?" the captain yelled. "Just a humble messenger passing by," our hero smirked. Minds were totally blown. The guy was actually from the legendary soulless Herald clan. Wasting zero time, our main character launched himself into the air, sniping the ogre right in its giant, ugly eye. The massive beast shrieked in absolute agony. Talk about a brutal critical hit. Blinded by pure rage, it violently thrashed around to crush everyone, but our cheeky herald just hopped onto its bald head, leaving the monster totally confused. In its clumsy temper tantrum, the big lug ended up squashing its own goblin buddies. Not bad footwork for a giant brute, our hero casually joked, turning the monster into his personal sniper tower. He unleashed an absolute storm of arrows from above. He mowed down the goblin army like cheap grass. A villager gasped. "Are you seriously the legendary Godslayer?" Glancing back, he noticed a hilarious detail. The bandits he humbled earlier were now stuffed inside the ogre's back basket. Even the one-eyed bandit was alive, glaring at him with weapons-grade saltiness. Suddenly, Skullhead Fashion Disaster Goblin popped up again. He cackled like a total madman, babbling about the divine book. As he bragged, his body started grossing out and mutating, declaring himself the almighty king of fangs. Boom. The puny goblin exploded into a towering, fleshy nightmare straight out of a horror comic. Still screaming his edgy new title, the freak just kept growing and laughing. Our hero's sweat dropped, wondering what fresh hell this was. One look at those giant red muscles and chainsaw teeth. Yep, this boss fight is going to completely suck. The meat monster lunged like a rabid dog. Our protagonist smartly ditched the ogre's head, leaving the giant completely dazed. With perfect timing, the newly spawned abomination sank its razor teeth right into the helpless ogre. The giant beast roared in absolute horror. That bite clearly took out a massive chunk of hit points. The colossal ogre was literally being eaten alive. The red freak laughed, saying he was the eater, not the meal. In mere seconds, the massive boss was completely swallowed whole. Gone. Deleted. Our hero watched from a safe distance, thoroughly disgusted. As the multi-faced abomination locked its creepy eyes right back at him, the terrifying truth dropped. It was the godkin Kurt, and lurking right behind it, that annoying goblin shaman with his magic stick. He fired off a magical blast. The spell zipped through the air, nailing our main character right in the chest. Our boy just blinked. Wait, did that even do anything? 0 damage taken. The cocky shaman ordered everyone to cough up the divine book, his generous offer. A quick and painless death. How thoughtful. Mid-villain speech, our hero shot an arrow. The shaman panicked, but surprisingly the shot flew completely wide. "The absolute nerve of you," the ugly mage shrieked. But our hero ignored him, realizing the magic staff was acting like a tracking compass. No time to think. The gross mutant king ripped a weapon out of its own flesh and charged. Smoothly dodging the nasty meat sword, he wondered what the big deal with this book was. Time to dance through an insane flurry of fatal strikes. Falling back, he spotted a goblin rocking a melted purple slushie for a head. Just your average godkin collateral damage? The goblin shaman threw a total tantrum, calling his minions useless. Plot twist. The red beast actually started wiping out its own squad. Meanwhile, our herald danced through the absolute chaos, with literal god-tier agility. Gripping his blade, he rushed Godkin Kurt like a homing missile. Closing the gap, he delivered one surgically precise strike. Then, moving faster than the eye could track, he casually sliced the so-called King of Fangs into confetti, without breaking a sweat. He totally roasted the beast, noting its teeth were way too big for its ugly mug. As the massive fangs hit the dirt, he mocked their shallow roots. What a total design flaw. From inside the meat mech, the shaman screeched to shut up, demanding respect for his royal title. But Azadine fired back. Bro, this is just a cheap knockoff from the original king. With one last, brutally heavy swing of his sword, he utterly obliterated the freak. But wait, toxic purple sludge clung to his blade, literally melting solid steel like warm butter. The giant monstrosity, still carrying its annoying goblin pilot, roared that it would crush our herald into dust. Azadine sighed. Fighting a toxic boss for zero loot? Talk about working a terrible unpaid internship. Suddenly, the guard screamed fire and rained a massive storm of arrows down on the fake king. The arrows instantly shredded the fleshy beast and its goblin master. The troops boldly chose to back up our herald, totally ignoring the church's strict anti-heretic laws. Why? Because their badass captain roared that the king's church had already left them for dead. He was absolutely furious. His men were scared of catching a write-up from the exact same bosses who just abandoned them. Even the ultimate coward Cosette panicked. Screaming he refused to die today, he started rapid-firing his bow. He hilariously justified it by shouting, "We're just killing monsters, not saving the heretic," totally pretending he'd arrest Azadine right after. Yeah, right. The rest of the squad happily adopted this giant loophole and resumed showering the beast with deadly attacks. Monsters first, awkward paperwork later. Deadly arrows pierced the false king and the remaining demonic trash. Azadine just sweat-dropped. Could have just handed me the arrows, guys. I had it totally under control. Time for his own counterattack. He grabbed a severed Godkin Fang and chucked it like an Olympic javelin, dealing absolutely massive critical damage. After pitching a few more pointy fastballs, he admired his own chaotic handiwork. Yep, that ought to do it. Just kidding. He yeeted a dozen more for good measure. Battered and bruised, the shaman cried, "How dare you fight dirty?" Our troll of a protagonist smirked. "Bro, I'm literally just returning your lost teeth. Why so salty?" The goblin absolutely lost his mind, shrieking he was destined to evolve into the ultimate superior being. Azadine just laughed at the villain monologue. He launched another fang right at Kurt's face, promising to gladly cancel any so-called superior being. That final pitch. Absolutely brutal. It completely shattered the fake king's body and cleanly sniped the shaman's head right off. In his last moments, the goblin finally realized his game was over. Boss cleared. But the moment the dust settled, the ungrateful soldiers immediately called out our soulless heretic. Azadine sighed at the blatant rudeness. One slip of a finger and an arrow could still ruin his day. Their captain fiercely demanded his master plan. The paranoid troops actually started whispering that he was the one who spawned the monster wave. Bows fully drawn. They aggressively accused him. After all, giant mutants don't just magically drop from the sky. Pinning the blame squarely on him, Azadine just hit them with a deadpan stare as one guy kept yelling about the suspicious spawn rates. "And isn't it super convenient," they yelled, "that a cursed criminal just happened to be here to save us?" Our hero simply shrugged. "Hey, I don't read the patch notes, I just did my job." Then Azadine dropped an absolute masterclass in gaslighting. He smoothly lied, claiming one of them had secretly summoned him using an emperor's coin. The captain was stunned. Who would make a deal with a demon? The soldiers instantly turned on each other, frantically trying to find the secret simp for the herald. Instant chaos. A hilarious wave of paranoia swept the ranks as they heavily suspected their own squad mates. Azadine played the innocent card perfectly. "Client confidentiality, guys. I totally can't reveal who swiped the card. So can I pass now?" he smirked. "Or are you really going to fight me in the name of your useless church? You know, the same church that let a corrupt noble treat you like cannon fodder." A triggered archer immediately screamed at him for disrespecting their religion. Azadine just chuckled and walked off. "Whatever you say, oh mighty citizens of faith." Strolling away, he bumped into that mercenary he spared earlier. The guy was still shaking, wondering if they were finally safe. Our hero patted him. "Congrats on not dying, now go be a good boy with your second chance." The tough merc literally broke down into ugly tears of joy. Swoosh. Our hero flexed his insane speed, slamming the brakes right in the guards' faces. Panic mode activated. They instantly drew their bows, but the boss wisely screamed at them to hold their fire. Free loot. Azadine casually swiped their arrows for his own stash, while the sweating captain actually thanked our herald for the carry. Smoothly dodging the praise, our hero smirked. If the wrong guy heard the truth, his own head would absolutely roll. Zoom. He vanished in a flash. Gliding beside him, his sassy owl sidekick totally called out his little lie about the gold. She saw right through his tough act. He only lied so the villagers would not live in absolute terror of being his accomplices. The bird chirped, no hard feelings. They treated you like utter garbage, even after you literally saved their miserable lives. Azadine just shrugged it off. Humans are fragile, plus they gave him free pity points when he played the poor blind guy. So he gave them a total pass. Honestly, he was just exhausted from throwing hands for absolutely zero pay. Worst gig ever. Up ahead, his loyal little kid squad was waving frantically, absolutely hyped to see their hero alive and kicking. Jaws dropped when he casually mentioned clapping a Kurt clone. Playing it cool, the heretic claimed the fake was honestly trash tier. Ishmael rolled his eyes. What a massive waste of stamina, throwing punches for free, not in this economy. Azadine simply quoted Midiam's weird philosophy. Saving people is pure art, and a life without style is honestly just boring. Slipping his iconic blindfold back on, he tuned them out. Midiam just sighed, officially labeling Ishmael a total buzzkill. How did these runts survive? Midiam bragged. The crowd detained them but totally backed off once they flexed their monster hunting cred. The gullible folks even handed them a free torch. And the absolute best part, nobody realized their secret Araga identity. But of course, vain little Midiam confidently swore they only survived because of her absolutely dazzling beauty. Azadine ruthlessly fact-checked her. You survived because you are a toddler. Cue an angry tantrum about how a 13-year-old could totally rule a kingdom. Ignoring the brat, our guy smoothly whipped out the shiny stolen wand. Hey, do you recognize this magical loot? Ether Girl's eyes widened. The fake Kurt used the exact same weapon she promised to run a full magical scan on it, since her mana tank was currently sitting at 0. Still, she beamed with pride when the boss finally treated her like a legit minion. Wow, the great herald was actually asking for help. They locked in a solid plan for an unboxing review the very next day. Boing, he randomly parkoured up a massive tree. Midiam yelled, "Where to now?" He just shouted back, "No time to explain, try to keep up." Utterly confused by his chaotic squirrel energy, the poor kids just sighed and desperately chased after him. Cue the night shift. Wandering villagers suddenly spotted our fake blind hero. A lady gasped, demanding to know where he had been. Playing the fool, he tapped his cane. Oops, just a poor lost blind guy. Do not worry, those smart runts will track me down. Changing the subject, his super hearing instantly picked up victory cheers. The coast is totally clear. Time to head back to base. His ears never lied. He told them to go on ahead, promising to follow their lantern signals like a good little civilian. But before she could even argue, a villager pointed at the glowing horizon. The massive gate lanterns were fully lit. The guards actually pulled it off. Someone suggested sending a scout team, but whoosh, our blind guy had already entirely ghosted them. Dressed like a literal ninja, our boy was already speedrunning toward the checkpoint. He grumbled about his empty stamina bar. If he sat down, he would pass out. But wait, mountain smoke. His curiosity violently slammed the brakes. Plot twist, it was a heavily armed military camp, their massive bonfire completely ruining their stealth in the pitch-black night. The grunts were loudly whining about their trash boss. Who searches for a stupid book when ogres and droughts are actively destroying the city? These poor random grunts just wanted to finish their quest, leave this total hellhole, and somehow pay off their ridiculous tax debts. Spying from the bushes, Azadine deduced his target was super close. But hold up, was that a treasure chest stuffed with cold, hard cash? His wallet was currently crying. The owl nudged him, whispering, "Jackpot, boss. We are literally broke. You need to snatch that bag." Road trips are not cheap. Cut to 5 seconds later, the general popped a blood vessel, realizing their entire budget had been magically swiped. The guards cried about a phantom ambush. The furious boss immediately targeted a lazy soldier sitting nearby, blaming him for the entire heist. But this scarred dude, absolute zero chill. He took the blame like a total champ. The boss threatened their paychecks, and the guy just shrugged. Whatever, he knew this was not some petty pickpocket. The phantom thief had completely looted his personal inventory too. A white-haired dude asked what got stolen, but the edgy knight just gate-kept his secrets. None of your business. Tark V rolled his eyes, must be cheap junk then. But the knight commanded him to draft a recruitment poster, predicting the spy would hit the village. Tark V hit him with some basic logic. Hello. The closest town is basically a VIP zone run by a stuck-up noble. You cannot just boss them around. Who even put you in charge? But the knight just flashed a villainous smirk. Do not worry, easy mode. I'll just borrow this village in your name, bam. He casually shish kebabbed Tark V's stomach. Tark V choked, totally blindsided. The guards just stood there, jaws on the floor, watching their boss get skewered. Scarface bragged this pointy toy was a sweet gift from a witch. Cue the spooky dark aura. A creepy purple spider popped out, crawled inside the captain, and vanished. You are totally fine for now, the maniac shrugged. Tarkvi was sweating bullets. What in the absolute world? Did this crazy dude just inject into him? Nope, not fine. The captain hit the dirt, screaming. Scarface smirked. Relax, it was just a little nibble. He gave Tarkvi a simple choice. Listen up, or become a walking spider nursery. Yikes. When those babies hatch, it is going to be a blockbuster show. Pale as a ghost, Tarkvi squeaked. What do you want? Giving him a creepy shoulder pat, he smiled. I am raiding that station. To catch the jerk who robbed me. Meanwhile, skipping the nightmare fuel. The kids were snoozing on their ride. Right in the middle of traffic. Their owl alarms went off, hooting them awake. Guys, it is already 10 in the morning. Yawning, they spotted Azadine, already up and at them. Wait, did you always dual-wield wands? They blinked. Azadine casually explained, his little looting spree. He had swiped a stick that matched his perfectly. Yep, the exact same magic stick that goblin shaman was waving around. The girl took one look and called it, definitely cursed. Ishmael grabbed the loot, firing up his magic radar to scan this shady stick. What was the verdict? Just a chaotic mind swirl of toxic green and pitch black. Gross. If the Fang King owned it, it would be glowing angry red. So whose cursed toy is this anyway? Turns out, this stick is just a magical GPS made to track one specific thing, but super fragile. Some top-tier wizard definitely slapped this together during a rushed coffee break. But hey, it works like a charm. Azadine connected the dots. This thing tracks the Divine King's lost pages. Cue the endless bounty hunters. Groaning, he decided to go spy on the chumps who dropped the GPS. Sneaking back to camp, the vibe was totally off. Things had gotten real sweaty overnight. These mercs were arming to the teeth. Azadine realized that goblin shaman was totally page hunting too. He thought they would panic over the lost tracking stick. Instead, they chose absolute violence. Hopping out of his tree, Azadine sounded the alarm. They are raiding the mega-sized station next door. Midam scratched her head. Why are they going full psycho? Out of nowhere. Azadine kept his lips sealed, but knew there was a catch. Following the magic GPS, they found a mega castle. Later that day, the town was buzzing with peaceful NPCs. A guard even waved a blind guy right through. Free entry for blind pilgrims, even if it is a total scam. Our crew finally spotted the big merchant wagon. Ah, time for a break, right, wrong? Azadine's main character's senses started tingling. Flashback time. 3 dudes hyping up a girl as the youngest herald, while haters called her a traitor's kid. Talk about an overachiever. She claimed the Supreme Genius title at just 3 years old. That was Ariel's legendary rep. But growing up, a busted ankle forced her to face a harsh reality. She was way more than just a powerhouse. A blonde dude muttered her name right before waking up with a jump. Fun fact, that peddler guild leveled up fast, from rookie merchants to heavy hitters in chorus. Plot twist. It is totally a front. A shadow business run by the Araga Herald clan, so every merchant is an insider. Azadine wanted stealth mode, but the kids were a walking circus. 3 guys instantly spotted him. Hey, is that Azadine? The 108th spirit. The guy cosplaying a herald. Wow, he already has minions after just 3 months. They are not my sidekicks. Azadine sighed, rolling his eyes. Just help me fix this stupid horseshoe. The guy pitched in. Azadine then tried to pawn some loot, casually asking for some premium arrows too. The merchant raised an eyebrow. Wait, did you not get your badge through Elder Kaza's nepotism? You skipped the tutorial, cried a bunch, and now you have all this shiny loot. You totally stole this. The kids were sweating now. Midam was ready to back up her fake herald, shady backstory and all. Out of nowhere, she chucked some fresh clothes at him. Catching them, Azadine glared. Shut up before I actually punch you. These 2 clowns thought he just lucked into the 108 Spirits Club. No way were they bowing to a lucky big shot. So our guy offered to beat some manners into them with a duel. He smirked, asking if they were scared of a little pain. Midiam just scoffed. Wow, you guys sure are good at talking absolute trash. Azadine side-eyed her. Pretty rich coming from a girl who already lost to him. The jerk sneered back. The little miss is just barking, because this blind dude has a glass jaw. Boom. The ground shook as she blitzed behind him, pressing a cold blade right to his throat. Hey, what are you doing, crazy kid? He panicked, as she happily threatened his life. I am Midiam of Ether, and I hate sarcasm, she hissed. You got a problem with Herald Azadine. Stop whining and step up to fight him right now. She pressed on. You got fired, And now you're talking down to heralds. Cue the city guards, running over to crash their little murder party. A blonde, blue-eyed guy sighed at the mess. He spotted Azadine and smiled. Well, if it isn't an old friend. Long time no see. He politely asked the angry girl's name, and she proudly announced herself as Midium of Ether. I'm Derek Savon, he smiled, apologizing for his dumb friend. Now could you kindly stop holding him hostage? I'd prefer my clanmate in one piece. Midium shrugged, releasing her hostage, and casually strolling back to her crew. The hostage was throwing a total tantrum over a tiny neck paper cut. Derek ordered his goons back to work. Then he casually invited Azadine for a bath and a dinner date to catch up. Our main character was utterly confused. But hey, free food is free. Finally scrubbed clean, our soulless heretic felt like a new man. Meanwhile, Ishmael nagged him. Why is Ariel treated like a goddess while you're a nobody? Rumor had it, anyone who even looked at her funny ended up paying a brutal price. Azadine just shrugged. She has her own intense methods. Ishmael stared. This guy was seriously a massive weirdo. Ishmael mentally noted to kidnap Midium and run away fast. Hang around this guy, and they just attract more terrifying, overpowered freaks. Squeaky clean, Azadine crashed Derek's dinner table. And man, that food looked absolutely legendary. Derek casually tried to fish for gossip about Ariel. Our heretic's epic response. Nope. Did he even care about his sister? Why would I? She's basically an invincible raid boss. Derek couldn't believe Azadine traveled this far just to bully merchant members. Azadine ignored him, reaching for a juicy apple, but Derek savagely slapped his hand away. No snack breaks until you give your mission report. Our soulless hero deadpanned. I'm doing my job perfectly. I'm collecting shiny gold coins. Derek kept whining about him attacking rival merchants. Yawning Azadine shut him up by whipping out a shiny, overpowered magic staff. The bishops of Kurt used this bad boy to track down the Divine King's holy book. Midium delivered the regional boss's letter, which was why she got dragged here. Derek sighed. You're clueless because you never write your reports. The staff was a cool loot drop, but a copy of the actual holy book would be the absolute jackpot. Without skipping a beat, Azadine dropped the bomb. Oh, I brought the book too. Derek short-circuited. Victorious Azadine snatched his well-earned apple. Guess the other heralds are just a bunch of noobs. Sweating buckets. Derek grabbed his hand and went full panic mode. Give me that. Outside, the vibe was totally chill. Until a massive horror movie scream shattered the peace, Azadine Derek roared from the cabin, scaring everyone. The poor guy was absolutely flabbergasted by the crazy news. Do you not trust us? Derek cried. We can protect it. But our heretic just scoffed. Trusting Derek with this loot was an absolute recipe for disaster. Azadine casually warned him. One of Cassiel's lunatic bastards is coming with a whole mercenary army. Oh, and they brought Kurt's loyal heretics. Derek instantly puffed out his chest. I could solo them. Sure, Ariel had beaten him into the dirt before, but this ancient herald still had massive ego. But if a simple merchant suddenly unleashed overpowered martial arts, his secret identity would be totally busted. Still keeping that bootleg holy book safe was now his ultimate stressful priority. Derek smugly called him weaker than Ariel. Azadine rolled his eyes. Bro, that was literally childhood history. I was just a squishy little kid. He wasn't the same punching bag who lost to his sister anymore. Though, to be fair, Ariel was a literal overpowered monster with a massive cult following. Honestly, Azadine had absolutely no clue how ridiculously overpowered she had become over the years. Our heretic decided to play postman, personally delivering the sacred scroll to the regional boss. Derek was absolutely sick of his senior's massive ego. But before he could snap, a scout barged in screaming about chaos at the eastern gates. Rewind a bit. At the postal city's eastern gates, guards spotted suspicious riders rolling up. Wondering if they packed steel, a knight barked, "We're full. Come back tomorrow." But their leader, a totally insufferable white-haired noble, smirked and praised the guards' hard work, tossing a fat bag of coins as a quote-unquote token of gratitude. Sir Tarkvi's stomach did a nervous backflip. As a knight of honor, he awkwardly cleared his throat to object. Trying to bluff, he muttered, "If this blows up in our faces, we'll all be chanting prayers at the royal church." But spoiler alert, a scar-faced mercenary instantly sliced the poor gatekeeper in half. The brutal one-shot kill left even the arrogant noble completely speechless. Panicking, the royal brat whined that murder wasn't part of the plan. The scarred merc just flashed a wicked grin. "Cheer up, little lord. A raid is completely boring without a little bloodshed." Tarkvi mentally cursed this absolute lunatic for ruining everything. They still had 3 gates to smash, but the mercenary just spaced out, weirdly staring at his own palm. His hand was a literal nightmare. packed with holes where tiny spiders crawled. With a creepy puff of breath, he launched the bugs. The spider swarm carpet-bombed the screaming guards. The horrifying arachnids dug straight under their skin, popping up as nasty, agonizing blisters of absolute torture. Even the spoiled royal brat gagged, completely traumatized by the disgusting freak show. But, plot twist, the bug-infested guards suddenly felt a massive, unholy power-up surging through their veins. Tarkvi finally connected the dots. This guy was a cursed heretic. The merc smirked, mocking the noble for being so painfully slow. He casually suggested that he and the young master should be best buddies and collaborate. He promised the divine book would grant the noble his sweet revenge. Then, he rudely activated the spiders he secretly hid in the brat's stomach. The noble instantly dropped, squirming like a worm as the belly bugs threw a dance party. Blackmailed by tummy spiders, he surrendered. The infected guards, now basically bug zombies, awaited their new master's command. Total lockdown initiated. No one leaves? Then he ordered his zombie minions to fetch a certain rat, and they sprinted off like rabid dogs. The clueless local kids stood around, scratching their heads, noticing the guards had built a human wall. When they asked why, the guards hit them with a flat no-passing zone rule. The villagers got spicy, demanding their freedom. One incredibly brave and totally doomed guy yelled, "Move it, losers. I'm out of here." In a flash, the mercenary palmed the angry guy's face like a basketball, lifting him with zero effort. Dangle-dropping him in the air, the villain coldly announced, "Newsflash. Nobody is leaving this town." Suddenly, the bug zombie's eyes glowed toxic green, murmuring that things were getting weird. A monstrous case of the munchies hit them, drool dripping everywhere. One zombie's jaw literally unhinged into a massive, horrifying spider maw, getting ready for a human-sized snack. Right before he could bite off the guy's head, salvation arrived. A perfectly timed arrow slammed right into the ugly monster's face. The brutal hit canceled its lunch plans, dropping the civilian. Enter our totally badass main character, who instantly introduced his sword to the monster's skull. One clean strike, saving the day like a true boss. Tiny spiders instantly swarmed the hero's blade. Seeing this, the soulless heretic realized these freaks belonged to the legendary Spider Queen Arthur. But wait, let's hit the rewind button for a second. Midiam had bragged they were indispensable and begged for a permanent job. Meanwhile, the talking owl warned Azadine about a shiny new contract. When Azadine asked for coordinates, the feathered GPS bluntly replied, "Target is out west," and oops, she just died. Panicking slightly, our heretic hero yelled at the duo to grab some fire. Aiming for the western gates, he parkoured into the sky with a massive super jump. The two sidekicks grumbled about his bossy, shoot first, ask questions later attitude. Still, they grabbed a torch. Back in the present, our hero used that exact fire to barbecue the Spider Queen's infected freaks, turning them to crispy ashes instantly. Huffing and puffing from the monster mash, the hero pointed his sword and ordered them to roast the rest. He casually checked their snack inventory, and they swore they packed all the survival goodies. Ismail seriously asked if they should grab the goats too. But Midiam shoved him aside, wagging his tail for the hero's praise like a good boy. Meanwhile, the awestruck villagers began stampeding toward our exhausted hero. Our spear-wielding hero just wrecked the monster, Midiam yelled, asking if the herald actually won. Just the tutorial, he smirked, offering them tent snacks. Midiam just gaped. Bro, do you know how many people are starving right now? Cue her horror movie scream, the boss just respawned. Feeling spicy, our guy charges up some hand magic and hits its gut with a legendary palm strike. The epic blow sends the beast flying. It crashes hard, exploding into a gross shower of tiny spiders. Drawing his sword, our hero charges. The monster is speed-running an ugly spider evolution, complete with creepy eyes. The beast lunges, our hero hits dodge and totally nopes out. The herald is baffled. How is this creepy crawler tanking endless hits without dying? Between that epic palm strike and sword slashes, its health bar should be absolute 0 by now. Plus, it keeps spamming mutations. It is leveling up its ugly arachnid stats, looking like a total nightmare. At this rate, he will totally miss the new contractor. So he aggressively yeets his spear to end this. A massive blue lightning bolt blasts the monster crisp. Boom Mitem's magical lightning arrow totally vaporizes the bug. She guessed its elemental weakness like a true pro gamer, but casting totally wiped her mana. She stumbles, and Ishmael catches her before she faceplants. The heretic admitted her skills were top tier, a true Ether Clan flex. Still, he drops some ancient wisdom. Nature is a literal grimoire. Do not spam your ultimate ability, kid. Ishmael knew she was just trying to win Senpai's approval. Asked if the contractor was dead, the heretic nodded. When asked why he goes so hard, the heretic smirked. Just fulfilling the contract. Even with a dead client, he refuses to quit without checking the quest log. Ishmael agrees they cannot leave blindly. The heretic grins. Exactly. Let us go assassinate their boss. Meanwhile, at the west gates, fire and chaos rage. Innocent dudes are kissing the dirt wrecked by ruthless mercenaries. The scarred mercenary is literally enjoying this chaos. Tarkvi awkwardly asks if everything is actually okay. He questions these brutal methods for finding the sacred book. The merc shrugs. Not my plan, but whatever, it works. The royal bastard is sweating bullets at this casual madness. Bro, at this rate the actual thief will escape. Meanwhile, the spider zombies are having a horrific human buffet. One weirdo randomly draws a triangle and tosses a shiny gold coin trying to summon the herald. The merc spots the shape. A summoning circle for the gold coin demon. Oh right, the herald clan's signature trick. He remembers these guys are also aggressively farming for the divine king's sacred loot. He bets the rat who robbed him belongs to that exact clan. Asked if he will attack, the merc chuckles. They will come to me. The merc brags the heretic will spawn soon. Suddenly, Tarkvi almost catches an arrow with his face. The fatal arrow approaches, but the mercenary casually catches it midair. He breaks the shaft like a twig, eyes glowing with green magic. But boom, a second arrow scratches his smug face. He realizes the sniper totally baited him with a fake-out. A genius setup for a lethal double tap. Suddenly, 6 freaky spider legs burst straight out of the mercenary's back. A psycho grin stretches his face. Nice try, scrub. Right then, the Emperor's herald charges in, ready to bring the pain. The herald slices the mercenary's gut, scoring a clean hit before smoothly jumping backward. Seeing those nasty spider legs, our hero smirks. You are a weird one. An epic, high-speed clash erupts. Surprisingly, the enemy acts like a sponge, casually tanking multiple heavy sword slashes from the heretic. Even with his danger sense screaming, the mercenary realizes this is a huge galaxy brain trap. The creepy guy knows he is winning the mental game no matter who wins the physical fight. Our main character aggressively lands another flawless combo. Meanwhile, the royal crybaby just cowers, missing his mommy. Boom. The herald drops a massive attack, cleanly amputating those creepy spider legs. He wonders if this is the boss. Keeping his sanity while mutating is honestly a terrifying flex. The mercenary laughs, admitting the herald is overpowered. Exactly what I expected from the Emperor's dog, but gross. The wounds start instantly regenerating. Smirking, the psycho declares he literally has God mode turned on. Boom, more creepy spider legs popped out of his fresh wounds. Our hero just rolled his eyes. Really, just a basic bug after all. Ready for round 2, our guy swung hard, but the 8-legged freak totally chickened out and backed away. Big mistake. The giant bug got super salty and kicked our hero away like a pesky mosquito. Time for some nature magic. Channeling the legendary Elder Kazas, our guy smirked. Fun fact, spiders totally cannot scratch their own backs. Poof. He teleported right into the enemy's blind spot. Time to deliver a spicy backstab. Snicker snack, one brutal slash, and the bug's head went flying. Tarkvi's jaw basically dropped to the floor. Sweating bullets, the spoiled brat yelled that heralds were totally off limits. He begged our hero to take a chill pill. Our hero literally could not care less about noble titles. A real herald would not be caught dead making such a lame excuse. Desperate, the brat whipped out an imperial gold coin. Where did he get the shiny loot? Mommy gave it to him, obviously. According to Mommy, dearest heralds are basically vending machines. Just insert gold coins for guaranteed service. But no wish means no mercy. Panicking, the brat threw the coin into the magic circle and screamed his cowardly plea. His desperate wish, save my pampered behind from this spider-infested nightmare zone. Contract accepted, much to our hero's disgust. He side-eyed his owl. Are we really babysitting this absolute trash fire? Cue the waterworks. The grown man literally sobbed, thanking his mommy that he wasn't bug food. Suddenly, his panicked buddies crashed the party. Hearing about the shiny gold contract, they were absolutely fuming. Our hero turned to Midam. Hey, can you zap him with that blue lightning again, just like the low-battery version? She scoffed. I am not your sidekick. But sure, since we are the same race. Does this mean I am doing your homework next? Dodging her sassy questions, our guy just casually promoted her to official minion status. Congratulations. Instead of getting mad, she totally lit up. She happily accepted the minion badge, ready to carry the team. Ishmael was shook. He had been chasing her for ages, but she never once gave him that golden retriever energy. Watching Azadine steal his crush's spotlight effortlessly pour, Ishmael was practically drowning in pure salty jealousy. The kid flopped down, utterly defeated by life. The herald completely misread the room and offered him snacks. Midiam cracked her knuckles. Can we fry this wimp now? The brat squeaked in terror. Wait, is that actual electricity? Am I going to die? He shrieked. Midiam just flashed a wonderfully evil smile as pure blue lightning sparked to life. Zap. The magical taser went off, absolutely deep-frying Tarkvi in a hilarious flash of blue sparks. Our hero poked the smoking brat. You alive, do not make my new minion work too hard. Midium just yawned, totally unfazed. Ether's kid was built different. Meanwhile, Crispy Tarkvi was completely face-planted on the dirt, having 0 hit points left. Twitching like a stunned fish, he glared up at his bullies. Why are you guys looking at me like I am the weirdo? Our hero warned the crispy brat to behave. Of course, the arrogant fool took that as a massive slap to his ego. Ishmael readied his weapon. Can I end him now? The job is done. The herald panicked, but Ishmael demanded to see the receipts. Plot twist, Azadine sighed and said, no. The big boss upstairs officially stamped the mommy's boy's VIP ticket. Basically, forming the contract gave this useless lump of meat premium VIP plot armor. Talk about annoying. Now they had to pamper the brat like a 5-star hotel. Plus, the system was literally leeching energy off this ridiculous deal. Our guy really wanted to squash the leftover village bugs, but if he breathed a word of it, these sticky kids would totally tag along. Suddenly, the village went wild. The fancy church knights had finally shown up. Thank goodness, the herald sighed in epic relief. Let the shiny armor dudes handle the bug extermination. Tarkvi immediately started begging and clinging to our hero's leg. If the holy squad catches him, his goose is officially cooked. Hide me from the holy nerds, he cried. Rolling his eyes so hard it hurt our protagonist finally caved in. Customer service is mandatory now, sadly. Later that night, the brat rudely demanded a fancy bed from some random locals. A poor farming couple nearly jumped out of their skin. Who ordered the grumpy knight at this hour? The idiot almost leaked his noble status. The gang forcefully shushed him, while our disguised hero smoothly asked for a sleepover. Flicking a shiny silver coin, he asked if they could crash in the barn with the farm animals. The farmers happily agreed to the easy cash. Meanwhile, Tarkvi's elite brain was short-circuiting over being silenced. In his snobby mind, peasants were just lazy complainers who packed their bags the second the weather got slightly dry. Classic rich boy logic. Our hero just smirked. Buddy, with an attitude like that, no wonder you are stuck slumming it with me. He brushes it off, telling the idiot to use his brain for once. Goats secured, they head upstairs to catch some Z's. Tarkvi whines about flies, but our herald smirks. Better than spiders in your stomach, buddy? Mr. Fancy Pants Noble refuses to sleep in this dump. Meanwhile, Midium quizzes Azadine about the royal church. Locals look half thrilled and half terrified as the shiny knights strut into town. Our boy explains their gig: enforce the 8 kings laws, spam white magic play, hero and rake in cash. Reality check. The church is just an exclusive club for greedy nobles, robbing everyone blind. Spotting the exact snob, Azadine just roasted our crew, calls it a night. Next morning, intimidating holy knights stomp through the woods near their camp. One exhausted grunt whines to Gardreg. Are we there yet? The boss tells him to chill. They want to clock out early too. They came for monsters, but the forest is totally empty. He literally suggests faking their mission report and going home when a weird noise interrupts his slacking. One guy teases another about his gorgeous daughter, sparking a full-on comedy routine. The woods feel like a picnic until Gardreg barks at them to shut up and do their jobs. Cue the freaky monster growl. Panic mode activates. The boss faceplants and his scrambling lackeys desperately check his pulse. Poking around the bushes, they come face to face with a massive red-eyed wyvern. Oops. Absolute terror strikes as the scaly beast drops the ultimate death glare on these fake knights. Panicking, they draw their bows. Gardreg screams at them to stop, but these idiots fire anyway. Spoiler alert, the wyvern doesn't even blink. Highly offended, the giant lizard takes flight. It dips out, leaving the dumbstruck knights eating dust. The boss suddenly does the math that was just a baby, meaning Mama Wyvern is close. Sweating buckets, they march down the dirt road and stumble onto a quiet little farm. Gardreg spots a wounded farmer with his wife. Then, completely unhinged, he orders his men to wipe them both out. His wild logic. They summon the wyvern, making them heretics. It's the perfect scapegoat to save their own necks from upper management. The poor woman bawls, utterly terrified as the armored thugs close in. Right before they strike, her eyes flash black and yellow, swords out the knights prep for a double execution. Meanwhile, the Emperor's booming voice wakes our hero, who groans about missing out on a measly 2 hours of beauty sleep. A talking owl announces duty calls for Spirit 108. Apparently only justice-loving nerds get to be heralds. Sure, like anyone actually does that, our hero snorts. Cue a desperate kid violently crashing into the barn. Our sleepy protagonist ninja jumps in front of the kid, demanding the juicy details. The crying brat sputters that Knights just deleted his dad. Azadine takes one look outside at the gruesome body-littered mess. Yep, the Holy Knights are casually murdering villagers. The boss aggressively demands to know where the kid went. A lackey reports the boy pulled a vanishing act. These scumbags actually complain the kid should have just died quietly instead of causing extra paperwork. They literally shrug it off as their only winning move. Because hey, the penalty for killing innocent civilians is straight up execution. Sure, knights get pardons, but Bishop Salasma is such a royal jerk that repenting probably won't save their skins anyway. Plus, penance missions are basically suicide. You either die in a ditch or resort to stealing sweet rolls. Hesitating now means Maya died for nothing. Gardreg already has a massive chip on his shoulder from growing up as an illegitimate outcast. So obviously he decides to play the ruthlessly decisive father figure by murdering innocent people. He barks at his crew to hunt down any clueless villagers hiding nearby and silence them permanently. Talk about a toxic workplace. Target spotted, a woman bolts, and the armored thugs immediately hit full sprint to chase her down. "Where do you think you're going?" yells one goon, yeeting his spear with ridiculous force and pinning the poor woman's foot. She hits the dirt, completely trapped. The spear-throwing jerk actually blames his slip on leftover tomato sauce. Seriously, he sneers, telling her to stop squirming and make her own murder a little more convenient. But bam, a totally random rock snipes the knight right in the face. He drops cold, leaving everyone else looking incredibly stupid. While they panic, Gardreg blocks a sudden strike, screaming for the mystery sniper to reveal themselves. Enter our hero, whining that severe sleep deprivation is completely ruining his precious body. The knight's totally triggered accept the challenge. Azadine just yawns, pulling off sick mid-air acrobatics to completely embarrass their clumsy attacks. Those spears are obnoxiously long, and our guy Azadine, completely unarmed, time to fight back with some random pebbles. Activating the majestic beauty of nature technique, in full Kaza mode, he yeets a rock right at a guard's face. The goons laugh, thinking a tiny rock can't hurt them. But joke's on them. Azadine triggers the yellow crane ability, turning that pebble into a deadly boomerang. Bam. The returning rock absolutely clobbers the guard right in the skull. Blood sprays. Azadine follows up with a brutal kick to the stomach, folding the guy like a cheap lawn chair. Yoink. He snatches the falling guy's spear. But before he can unleash more combo attacks, a loud voice ruins the fun. Gardreg yells at them to freeze. He dramatically announces, they are the super important holy knights of the king's church. When asked why they are butchering innocent villagers, this so-called holy guy just scoffs and labels them heretics. The emperor's herald calls out the nonsense. Seriously, what proof do you have? Since when are dirt-poor farmers plotting against the heavens? The leader gives a villainous smirk. We are the knights, so our word is the absolute law. How dare anyone question us? He draws his blade and instantly slaps the heretic label right onto our main character. Classic bad guy move. The sword erupts in a ridiculously huge, blinding divine light. Azadine quickly tells the lady nearby to close her eyes. Our boy knows this dirty trick. It is the exact same flashbang move that jerk used before. Playing the ultimate protector, he shields the woman's eyes from the glare. Meanwhile, the flashy knight charges straight at him, right as he is about to deliver a supposedly epic finishing blow. Thwack. An arrow nails him in the stomach. Sadly, the holy knight's armor tanks the hit. Turns out, the backup squad fired those shots. They frantically ask if Azadine's eyes are okay, which is absolutely hilarious, considering the guy literally does not have eyes. 2 more tin cans charge in, but the trusty subordinates manage to keep them perfectly at bay. Midium brags about leaving them alive, and Azadine gives a proud nod. Gardreg is sweating now, shocked that a mere kid is wrecking his apprentices. Realizing they roll with the herald, this guy actually has the nerve to question their loyalty to the emperor. Applying peak clown logic, T5. The knight decides the farmers must be heretics by association. Azadine sees right through their nonsense. Those oversized spears. They came here to hunt beasts, not execute criminals. The truth drops. These morons accidentally offed a herb gatherer, totally panicked, and completely lost the plot. This whole dramatic massacre, just a pathetic cover-up to silence the witnesses of their massive screw-up. Exposed and fuming, the knight screams for the heretic to shut up. Azadine calmly demands cold hard cash for the village and a lifetime of groveling penance. Refuse. Then prepare for total annihilation. But this stubborn knight absolutely refuses to take the loss. Thinking Azadine is some elite boss, the knight grips his sword and starts charging up an obnoxiously huge spell. Terrified of getting caught, he summons a massive, glowing yellow magic hammer. Talk about overcompensating. Azadine just smiles. Finally, an opponent with decent loot. Gardreg glares back, sweating profusely. Gripping his weapon with deadly intent, the knight swings that comically large hammer straight at our hero. As the holy brute charges, our totally unbothered main character just casually yeets the stolen spear right at him. The spear hits the giant hammer and instantly shatters like cheap plastic. The knight freezes in shock, while his cowardly buddies immediately start running for their lives. Midium casually jogs past, eyes the knight's fancy quiver, and cheekily announces, she is just borrowing it indefinitely. Back to the fight. Azadine casually sidesteps. 2 earth-shattering hammer strikes, like it is a breezy morning walk. The hammer turns the ground into literal dust. Azadine whistles, noting that this guy definitely skips leg day for pure arm strength. Slipping into a better tactical spot, our hero watches the mindless swinging. With absolute amusement, he casually knocks 2 arrows, aims down the sights, and fires mere milliseconds before getting flattened. Midiam panics, screaming at him to move. The cocky knight just laughs, thinking this is an easy win. The arrows totally whiff. Feeling invincible, the knight goes in for the kill with a lightning-fast sword thrust. He flashes a massive, arrogant grin, fully ready to slice our hero into deli meat. Swoosh! He completely whiffs and hits a whole lot of dirt. Azadine pulled a magic trick, leaving the poor knight looking like a total fool. Plot twist. Our guy effortlessly leaped right over him, touching down smoothly behind his back. The moment his feet touch the ground, he quick draws an arrow. Thwack! Right into the back of the leader's head. Good night. Jaws drop everywhere. Midiam asks what just happened, as the bloody arrow magically rips itself out of the corpse and flies right back to Azadine's hand. Catching it flawlessly, Azadine smirks. He calls it the ultimate arrow return technique. Talk about an infinite ammo glitch. The morning sun finally peeks out. The brutal bloodbath between the 2 forces is officially over. Our main character, Azadine, casually stacks the fallen villagers on haybeds. Cue the heartbreaking sobs of a newly orphaned daughter. Another woman cries a literal river over the mess. Meanwhile, Azadine turns to the surviving captured guards to ask what their brilliant plan is. The guards roll their eyes. We will just pay the family some gold, they grumble. Classic rich guy logic. Azadine offers a sweet deal. Become penitent knights, and I will not end you. The knights desperately sweat for a loophole, but find zero. They finally cave and agree. But wait, a local mom screams, completely vetoing this peace treaty. Grabbing an axe, she goes full Grim Reaper. You butchered my son, sliced him like livestock, and called us heretics for zero reason. She roars with fury. We have been super loyal to the king's church this whole time. We never even complained about this stupid drought. One tied-up guard completely loses his cool. Shut your trash mouth. How dare a filthy peasant like you speak to a VIP church knight, he spits out. Bad move, buddy. Before he can even finish his villain speech, he gets instantly silenced. Smack. She introduces his face to her axe, instantly deleting him. The last surviving guard is left absolutely wetting his pants. She just shrugs. Who cares, she mutters. If they live, we are cursed. If they die, say goodbye to the king's legal protection. Time to pack up and become homeless nomads. It sucks, but that is our fate now. Fast forward to dusk. The herald drops a quick prayer over the graves. Azadine and Midiam finally relax, thrilled they will not be fighting zombie knights tonight. Thankfully, everyone is buried deep, and the herald's holy prayer worked its magic. Midiam scratches her head. Is doing holy rites on corrupt church knights technically a massive blasphemy? Ishmael pokes Azadine. Hey, what if they actually surrendered? Would the Emperor's herald really forgive those jerks? Enter the philosophy lesson. Make a promise to a literal rock, and breaking it is still a massive sin. That is the absolute golden rule of the Herald clan. Under royal law, a promise is completely unbreakable. But since these Araga guys are totally soulless, they are basically talking rocks. Promises to trash. 100% void. Plus, any shady deed gets an automatic pardon if the victim happens to be a herald. Even if those holy knights swore their lives away to Azadine, trusting their pinky promise is a joke, their track record is absolute garbage. Our hero just shrugs it off. Who cares, he says, questioning their completely wild legal system. But hey, these hybris folks just stubbornly stick to their weird little rules. The kid asks, what if they broke the promise anyway? Our hero drops some truth. Dead knights do not bring peace to grieving families. Honestly, staying alive beats getting revenge, especially with little kids caught in the crossfire. Sure, they got their epic payback, but now they are stuck playing Nomad Survival Simulator. Not a fun game. Midiam finally gets it. This whole messy drama was just to protect the farmers. Still, she notices he acted totally squeamish about finishing off the knights. Turns out our tough herald absolutely hates kicking a man when he is already down. Now, if they had forced his hand in actual combat, totally different story. He would have wrecked them. Ishmael smirks at this crazy confidence. Then he looks around. Hey, where did that annoying bastard run off to? His buddy points away. Saw him sprinting that way. Honestly, good riddance. That is one less mouth to feed. But nope, Tark V pops out of the bushes like a weed. Surprise, I am right here. Cue our protagonist's massive soul-crushing eye roll. Looks like another forced march tonight, and Azadine just desperately wants a nap. Suddenly, the little girl screams at the blind man's crew. "This is all your fault. If you had not showed up, my parents would still be alive," she cries. Her guardian nervously apologizes for the kid's totally justified meltdown. She is just a child after all. The blind pilgrim changes the subject. Where to now? Southwest. The farmer sighs, heading to crash with relatives. Our hero mentally facepalms. Southwest is the exact opposite direction of Salasma. Brilliant navigation, guys. But with this awful drought getting worse, staying here is completely pointless anyway. The heretic waves a quick goodbye, and they split up. The farmer actually wishes the Emperor's blessing upon our herald. The herald flashes a totally ironic smile while the kid whispers, "Wait, isn't that a curse?" Seriously, her uncle literally told her the big E word was absolutely forbidden. Flap flap. An owl lands on its master's shoulder, dropping some hard truth. "Boss, everyone avoids you like a walking plague." Hey, he worked his tail off to bring them civilization. If anyone completely messed up, it is the Emperor himself. He should have written a will way sooner. Though the owl admits that one tiny era of peace he gave them was pretty sweet while it lasted. The Yiga God clan's bloodline could literally outlast time itself. And our guy, he completely agrees. The farmers safely dip to their relatives' places. Meanwhile, our crew saddles up, ditching the safe route for a lovely scorching desert road trip. Tarkvi is absolutely flabbergasted. The protagonist just soloed an entire squad of the church's holy knights without breaking a sweat. Midium savagely roasts him. How could he see anything while cowering in a corner? Red-faced, the noble bastard admits he missed the whole show. Azadine instantly shushes him. If word gets out that a herald utterly folded the holy knights, they are absolutely cooked. That kind of gossip screams massive headache. Plus, he still has to investigate those shady gold coins, the noble flex to the mercenaries. Looks like our totally not a heretic protagonist is stuck babysitting this noble bastard for a little while longer. Suddenly, a random merchant blockades their path. His brilliant opening line, offering our weary travelers a totally not suspicious cup of tea. Spotting the flashy Coruscant Merchant Guild badge, the herald figures free tea is free tea. Time for a quick civilized roadside breather. The merchant casually pries, asking about the terrifyingly stoic white-haired knight in their party. Azadine waves it off. She is just a contractor, totally leak-proof. Dropping his friendly facade, the merchant sharply questions where this 3-month rookie herald is heading. Our boy immediately notices. The customer service smile has completely left the chat. Salasma-bound, the protagonist asks for the local tea. The merchant admits things are getting spicy, but hits him with the classic reverse psychology. No pressure to help. The side quest. Just casually exterminating some oversized wyverns and pesky local bandits. Azadine knows his worth. Give him some wormwood sugar snacks and he will do it. The merchant eagerly hands over the sugary bribe, sealing the contract. Snacks, secured business mode activated. Azadine immediately demands the juicy details of this mess. Apparently, the self-proclaimed Order of Saviors is currently running a so-called relief operation nearby. The catch. They are basically extorting innocent merchants for mandatory donations. Shaking down the rich for refugees. Sounds noble on paper, sure. Midium raises an eyebrow. Why is the merchant acting so surprisingly chill about getting robbed by saviors? Azadine connects the dots. Merchants are taking shady shortcuts to dodge the Order's tax collection, running straight into hungry wyverns and thieves. Plot twist. The bandits are actually desperate refugees. And the shady Order. They are exploiting this chaos just to hunt down the Divine King's sacred books. The merchant double-checks. Is the herald seriously taking this crazy job? Especially when the guildmasters explicitly warned him to ignore caravan drama. Azadine scoffs with pure main character energy. He is stepping up because it is about saving lives, not pulling off some sketchy assassination gig. The merchant chuckles. Is this righteous hero routine really suiting his personal tastes? He casually drops a hint, noting that rumors of the herald's unique quirks are spot on. That slightly condescending tone, Midium absolutely hates it. She glares at Azadine silently, asking permission to murder this guy. Taking his silence as a rock-solid yes, she instantly lunges. In a flash, her cold steel is pressed right against the merchant's throat. How dare a mere servant act so cocky toward the messenger? She fiercely demands absolute respect, promising to separate his head from his shoulders if he mouths off again. Panicking, Azadine frantically jumps in to stop the execution. He urgently reminds her of the annoying corporate hierarchy. Sure, she holds a fancy official title as an ether, but this merchant technically outranks him. Plus, doesn't her prestigious lineage preach about respecting the elderly? He orders her to put the pointy stick away before things get messy, and begrudgingly she complies. The terrifying knight slowly retracts her blade, taking a huge, moody step back. The protagonist awkwardly bows in apology. The poor guy just wanted to share tea, not stare at death. Clearing his throat, Azadine tells the squad to pack up fast. They have a date with some unruly wyverns and desperate bandits after all. Meanwhile, the shaken merchant strongly suspects they just played good cop, crazy cop. One threatens murder, the other swoops in to apologize. A masterclass in psychological bullying. Back on the dusty road, our hero actually thanks her for the intimidation play. But he drops a serious warning. Never mess with anyone tied to the Sabanga faction. The last guy who annoyed Sabanga. Utterly wiped from existence. Overhearing this, Tarkvi chimes in, asking if Sabanga is some terrifying family in the messenger lineage. Turns out this whole messenger organization is way more hardcore and structured than he ever realized. Wait. The heretic suddenly connects the dots. That shady merchant was totally begging for help to usurp a count's title. But the noble bastard confidently smirks, declaring our herald is easily overpowered enough to pull it off. Think about it. Count Kasla is way too young to be handing out succession rights like candy. Plus, the count's mother is basically swimming in wealth and political clout. Dangle the family head title as bait, and thirsty nobles will literally throw fortunes at their feet. The count is totally going to milk this succession drama for every single penny it is worth. He is farming the nobles for infinite cash, and our noble bastard refuses to just sit on the sidelines while a prime scam happens. No wonder the merchant was sweating bullets, practically begging for help. His own faction is causing absolute chaos, turning this whole succession war into a monumental headache. Realizing the massive profit potential, the duo wholeheartedly agrees. Right on cue, Ismail points a finger forward. Is that the sketchy inn the merchant hyped up? Our main character was practically vibrating. He scanned the inn, absolutely pumped to see a familiar face. The girl tilted her head in pure confusion. Familiar face? Who on earth did he know here? Cue the dramatic music. He spotted Swatina, an actual goat, and sprinted to hug her like a long-lost lover. The party just deadpanned. Wait, he ditched a goat earlier, and now he's acting like they're soulmates. Unbelievable. He nervously defended himself. The old place was a literal wasteland. He paid the guild to move her here, and clearly this inn had a premium grass buffet. Shaking their heads at the goat drama, the squad finally pushed open the tavern doors. Bam! The noble froze like a deer in headlights. His own brother and sister were chilling right there. What in the world were they doing here? Sweating bullets. He frantically whispered to our soulless heretic that these were his half-siblings. The herald's eyes lit up. Dramatic family rivals. Sadly, the noble quickly killed that juicy trope. No, they actually liked each other. The sister Kaka flashed a polite smile. She stepped up to the weirdly assembled party and gracefully introduced herself. The brother gave a chill nod, calling himself Chico. In return, our hero slapped on his best fake smile, introducing his squad as their mere humble pilgrims. He hyped up how fun it was to escort Tarki. But the siblings immediately went on high alert. Wait, what happened to his expensive mercenary guards? Tarki looked away, totally mortified. Yeah, those pricey mercs completely backstabbed him. This ragtag bunch was his backup plan. Gasping at the betrayal, the siblings quickly dragged everyone to a table. Over some hot food, they realized their poor brother had been through an absolute nightmare. So what was the master plan now? The exhausted noble sighed, admitting he was limping his way back to Salasma. What a crazy coincidence. The fake pilgrims were heading there too. Boom, the parties officially merged into one supergroup. But Kaka suddenly dropped a reality bomb. A massive base for the Order of Saviors was blocking their path dead ahead. Chico shot a worried glance at their pretty companion. Those saviors loved kidnapping cute girls. They desperately needed to detour around those creeps. The naive herald actually scoffed at that, kidnap someone against their will. No way, they serve the holy archangels, they're the good guys, right? The siblings just shared a highly judgmental look. This guy's blind devotion was honestly embarrassing. Oh, you sweet summer child. Fast forward to nighttime, and the tavern was absolutely rowdy. A super drunk guy completely crashed into our heretic, slurring about their pilgrim status. Chico tried to play damage control. He smoothly claimed they were just merchants, taking the long way around the forest to dodge the order. The wasted dude threw his arms up in joy. He loudly cheered that having this big group around was a total lifesaver. Free protection from monsters. Heck yeah. Another tipsy merchant crashed the conversation, practically worshipping our crew as cheap bodyguards. Everyone knows the golden rule of survival. If you want to avoid becoming monster chow in the woods, you pack together like sardines. Monsters love a good group hunt. So sticking together was just basic math. A win-win for all these cheapskates. Suddenly the drunk's vibe turned sour. He thought our blind hero was giving him attitude. He aggressively yelled to send the kids upstairs. Joke was on him. Medium Ismael and Chico had already ninja vanished to their rooms way earlier, trying to smooth things over. A merchant shoved a massive mug of booze at our hero, but playing the Holy Pilgrim card, he politely dodged the drink. The guy with the ridiculous mustache literally snorted, rejecting a drink. That was the absolute lamest excuse he had ever heard. Then another nosy drunk zeroed in on the blindfold. "Hey, can you even see through that thing?" Our hero casually joked that he peeked through the gaps, but the bullies wouldn't drop it. The dirty bandage became their prime target for roasting. "Take it off. Show us the goods." Our main character totally played the gross out card. "Oh, you don't want to see this, it is way too nasty for polite company." As the drunks got way too pushy, Tarky finally snapped. He angrily ordered them to back off and leave the poor guy alone. He hyped him up as a mysterious man with a dark past. Just shut up and drink. But the obnoxious drunk was starving for prime gossip, so he shamelessly pivoted. "Are those kids yours? Because that little girl is looking real pretty." Gross. Our hero quickly threw out a lie. "Nope, totally just my younger cousins." But then the creepy merchant actually declared he wanted to adopt her. He slurred out a greasy promise that he would take extra good care of the little beauty. Huge red flags everywhere. The other drunks busted out laughing like it was a grand joke. But Azadine internally facepalmed, instantly regretting sitting at this table. Her actual parents were literally waiting in the next town. There was zero chance our hero would let this weirdo take her. Finally, someone from the merchant's own crew snapped. He totally exposed the guy's trashy plan to raise the poor girl as a shady courtesan. Publicly shamed the creep finally backed down. Trying to save face, he aggressively slammed another drink in front of our blind pilgrim. Chug it. Knowing these clowns would start a literal bar fight, our hero sighed in defeat. Fine, down the hatch it goes. Then the juicy lore dropped. A guy whispered about a messenger clan woman hiding at a sawmill. "Wait, aren't those people straight up monsters?" A merchant gasped. "Shh." The other guy aggressively shushed the table. "Shut your mouths and listen to the gossip." He spilled the tragic lore. Her father, a roaming messenger, had left her behind. So a greedy mill owner bought the half-blood, chaining her to a life of absolute servitude. The tavern's drunken sleazebags greedily drooled over her rare beauty. Sure, owning humans was totally legal here. But the Holy Church, they'd throw a massive divine fit if word got out. One thug snorted in pure mockery. "The church doesn't give a damn about filthy half-breeds." He smirked, already plotting to steal her future offspring. Gross rumors were already flying around. Toss her a cheap bottle of liquor, and she was supposedly yours for the night. "So who gets first dibs?" a drunk slurred. Bam. Our main character slammed his hands down, shooting up from the table like a rocket. His aura flared with pure seething fury. But then, plot twist. He burst into dramatic, ugly tears, sobbing like an absolute baby. "Oh, the absolute tragedy," he wailed. The Holy King's flock swimming in ultimate filth. The thugs just blinked. "What is this crazy guy babbling about?" "Hey, we just want a cheap slave," they whined. Our hero's eyes snapped open. "And that is exactly the problem, you trash." He ruthlessly tossed the drunkards across the floor. My fingers one gasped in sheer terror. How is a blind dude this insanely overpowered? Ignoring their groans, our supposed heretic instantly dropped into a totally dramatic prayer. He loudly invoked the Supreme Archangel, the divine being who grants absolute holy magic to anyone holding on to the three virtues. But alas, humanity had totally lost the plot. With the saviors losing their divine juice, ordinary fools were bathing in ultimate sin. The blind monk preached like a madman. The grand era of Jupiter approaches, and with it, the three sacred virtues shall return. Repent from your filthy desires. Seeing him act completely unhinged, the thugs awkwardly decided to bounce. They had a raid at dawn after all. Our hero claimed he could walk himself out, but his party forcibly dragged him away anyway. He pouted, whining that they totally killed his vibe. Meanwhile, the tavern thugs were practically sweating, wishing they never poured him that drink. Outside, the noble Tarkv smirked. "You were totally faking that, right?" Our hero grinned. Obviously, holy nuts weren't exactly popular in this town. Suddenly, the rescued girl stirred. "Those weren't fanatics," she sleepily mumbled. "Just a bunch of absolute losers." Our hero whipped off his blindfold. Oops. She had been awake for the whole crazy performance. Ishmael raised an eyebrow. "So, that whole dramatic tavern brawl, was it about that messenger clan rumor?" The fake blind man shrugged. "The boss hasn't sent any secret orders yet. I just need to verify her true bloodline first. And if the rumors are real, will you wipe them out?" Our main character just offered a chilling smile. "Depends on my mood." Fast forward to dawn. The entire squad marched into the deadly monster zone. From here, the shadowed forest path awaited. The golden rule: see a beast, scream your lungs out. But our hero narrowed his eyes. The hunting party was suspiciously massive. Plus, the atmosphere was completely toxic. Midium's elite instincts were screaming too. A suffocating, bone-chilling wave of dark magic, absolute corruption choked the very air. The rest of the clueless mob felt absolutely nothing. The girl whispered nervously to Azadine, and he instantly ordered her to hide behind the mountain goat. Dead ahead, the shadows shifted. The terrifying glow of crimson eyes pierced the gloom. Pure terror paralyzed the girl. Incoming, our hero roared. Out of nowhere, a demonic pack of red-eyed wolves launched a lethal ambush. Watch out, our main character yelled. These aren't normal mutts. They're undead nightmares attacking with savage fury. A veteran elder instantly barked out tactical orders. The squad snapped into a flawless phalanx, locking shields and aiming lethal spears at the 5 wolves. The zombie wolves snarled, toxic drool dripping from their jaws. They were practically starving for fresh human meat. But these monsters were way too smart for a basic frontal assault. Retaining their terrifying past-life combat instincts, the demonic pack began a chilling pincer movement to trap their prey. Any break in the formation meant instant death. Our hero quickly scanned the battlefield. Their exposed rear was a massive, glowing weak point. Crunch. A beast brutally snapped its jaws around a guard's arm. Tarkvi, the arrogant noble, shouted for space and violently charged the monster. Bam! He mercilessly rammed his heavy shield straight into its rotting face. Flash. A flawless sword strike severed the beast's head in one smooth motion. Even the trio had to admit, the rich kid actually had serious skills. Fully armoring up to fight on their level, Chico sprinted over to check on his half-brother. But the noble just brushed off the dirt totally unscathed. Meanwhile, the remaining cursed mutts wisely backed off, lurking just outside the reach of their deadly spears. Suddenly, a hulking human figure emerged from the beast pack. Wait, is that Kareem? Someone yelled out, asking what happened to the others. But the elder went totally pale. Hold your ground. That thing isn't human anymore. The horrific truth hit them like a freight train. Their fallen comrades had been resurrected as mindless zombies, their rotting hands still gripping their bloody weapons. Panic rippled through the squad. Standing still meant getting totally swarmed. The commander roared, "Frontline, hold the wall. Archers, ready your bows." Whoosh. A relentless storm of arrows rained down upon the undead nightmare. The arrows completely missed the mark. Our main character really wanted to mind his own business, but with a heavy sigh, he grabbed some rocks. Boom. He throws a single stone so hard, it literally explodes an undead wolf into dust. Jaws drop everywhere. He casually claims the hounds, ordering the stunned extras to go sweep up the zombies. The fighters instantly snap to attention, slicing through the undead. Meanwhile, our overpowered hero effortlessly pops another monster. Sister Kaka joins the dance, spinning her spear like a total boss. Thank the heavens, these mercenaries actually know how to fight. But these zombies are way too coordinated. Some shady sorcerer is definitely pulling the strings. Our hero sighs, realizing his break is ruined. A creepy owl spies from the branches, while the merchants whine that zombie apocalypses were not in their contract. They signed up for wyvern hunting, not a horror movie. Even the mercenaries swear they were totally scammed. The merchants foolishly decide to push forward, acting like they won the war. The old man sarcastically asks if they brought a crystal ball. Cue the instant panic. One merchant completely loses it, and suddenly, everyone votes to run back home. Our hero smirks, asking if they seriously think the exit is still there. Confused, the cowards look back and finally notice the glitch. Poof. The safe dirt road they just walked on has literally vanished into thin air. They are totally trapped. The path is just gone. Our main character states the obvious. The hidden boss blocked the exit to casually murder them all. Aiden nods grimly. If these guys messed with the clan woman, he would have gladly tossed them to the zombies himself. But without any hard proof, Azadine sighs and decides to keep them alive. He turns to the pompous noble Tarkvi for some crowd control. He figures a blind wanderer lacks that VIP aura. But surely a flashy noble can calm down these panicking peasants. Tarkvi puffs out his chest and dramatically promises our hero that he was born for this exact shining moment. Strutting to the front, he literally yells for the worms to listen. He introduces himself as Tarkvi, son of Duke Kazal, boasting his divine royal bloodline. He proudly declares his rich life is way more important than their cheap ones. Naturally, this makes everyone instantly hate his guts. Striking a heroic pose, he announces his grand plan to uncover this spooky forest's secrets. He mocks their pathetic desire to run, commanding the peasants to be his meat shields and witness his absolute awesomeness. He claims that dying for him is the only way their miserable families will ever have a cool story to tell. Crickets chirp. The merchants completely ignore his legendary speech and just walk away. The herald facepalms, baffled by his awful timing. Chico just stares in absolute disbelief. How could his own brother be this socially clueless during an ambush? Completely missing the awkwardness, Tarkvi orders everyone to follow the merchants, acting like staying together was his genius idea all along. Sister Kaka sweats, guessing that walking blindly into a magical trap is probably a terrible life choice. Suddenly, a wicked aura suffocates the area. Our hero instantly senses the dark magic. It is the infamous shamanic dust of Butuma. The foul energy is so thick, this sorcerer definitely kicked the bucket and transformed into a super salty, vengeful ghost. With zombies crashing the party, the ghost theory totally checks out. Plus, keeping those half-brothers around might actually pay off. Midam gulps nervously, wondering if this means the clan messenger has already met her doom, but our logic-driven heretic shakes his head. She might just be a total cheat code, who naturally inherited phoenix and wind powers. She could even be a living dark magic master. If she is still breathing, the creepy village will definitely have clues. His companions sweat drop, quick to point out that her being alive is a really massive if. They finally reach a super creepy cabin. Bang bang, something inside is throwing a tantrum, but the rest of the village is dead silent. It feels like a ghost town. The only locals were those rotting zombies. They just finished turning into fertilizer. As Tarkvi and the boys creep closer, loud crashing echoes from the cabin. They grab their weapons, betting on another zombie. A muffled voice screams that it is human. But honestly, that sounds like something a smart zombie would say. Then, it claims to be a holy paladin, a living, breathing person. Our hero shrugs and casually removes the heavy plank, locking the spooky door from the outside. Smash. A fully armored girl completely faceplants into the dirt. Jumping up in a panic, she dramatically dashes toward the haunted trees. The clumsy paladin yells, "This is my dark destiny, do not follow me," trying way too hard to sound cool. Fast forward 5 minutes. She awkwardly walks back, clears her throat, and politely thanks them for the rescue before introducing herself. She proudly states she is Maya, an elite officer of the Salasma d'Assise. Our hero instantly recognizes that fancy church VIP title. He raises an eyebrow, asking how a holy big shot like her got locked in a sketchy shack in the middle of nowhere. Maya blushes, explaining her super sacred mission. But while she was bravely snooping in a warehouse, spooky monsters totally jumped her. The cowardly villagers panicked and literally locked her inside. Because her holy weapon was parked with her horse, this elite warrior was defeated by a wooden door. Sure, she could have unleashed holy divine punishment, but blowing herself up in the process was not exactly on her to-do list. Cue the awkward silence. She finally notices the spooky ghost town vibe and guesses the locals just got an undead makeover. Our main character smoothly lies, claiming some random merchants conveniently beat up the monsters before chickening out at the gates. Missing her backup, Maya nervously asks our favorite heretic if he spotted any other shiny knights around. Apparently, the bishop sent her on a wyvern hunting field trip. Plus, she was supposed to meet her knight training dad right about here. She proudly brags that her daddy is an incredibly famous holy warrior, guarding the royal church for generations. Our heretic does the math and realizes this creepy logging village connects right to the farm they just wrecked. Oops. That armored zombie they just permanently retired, probably her dad. Our hero just finds it hilarious that she is so proud of her family tree, considering church paladins are strictly forbidden from making babies in the first place. Besides, he definitely has not seen a zombified pony carrying around a bunch of holy weapons. Playing the gentleman, he invites her to join their little search party. Maya blushes, totally falling for Azadine's fake consideration. They snoop around the ruined town for her lost loot. Honestly, our hero thinks the universe has a wickedly twisted sense of humor. Finding zero treasure, Midiam demands their next move. The plan: claim this spooky village as their evil lair and hunt down the dark mage. Midiam puts on her detective hat, betting real money that the culprit is actually a living human. Though usually these magical disasters are just grumpy ghosts throwing a massive tantrum because they died terribly and skipped the funeral. But if a living human pulled off this epic curse, all fingers point to that poor enslaved lady from the Messenger clan. Then again, if she caught a bad case of death, she is definitely playing the role of a very angry ghost. Meanwhile, our hero is miserably forging arrows over a simple campfire. It is super annoying, especially since his shiny lunar bow is benched. Trying to play dress-up and hide their sacred clan identity while still fighting monsters. Yeah, this do-it-yourself craft project is a massive fail. Midiam roasts his terrible crafting skills, Azadine just wants something slightly better than goblin garbage slapping cheap iron onto sticks. She then pokes the bear, asking if our heretic plans to use his legendary talk jutsu on the sorceress if she is still breathing. Knowing his annoying moral compass, she bets he will spare her. If Midium was in charge, boom, instant execution. Our guy admits a living dark mage is possible, but puts his money on the classic raging poltergeist theory. Sure, a tragic backstory pulls the heartstrings, but you do not drink from a shattered cup just because you feel sorry for it. Midium's logic. Buying a new cup is cheaper than fixing trash. Still, even if he plays the pacifist route, she will forever be his biggest fangirl. That actually surprises our hero. Looks like the bloodthirsty girl is finally figuring out that saving lives is kind of cool. Cue Ishmael, ruining the mood by declaring that forgiveness is for absolute losers. He refuses to respect someone who nuked a town with dark magic just to play the ultimate victim card. Dripping with jealousy, Ishmael whines about why she is so obsessed with a blind guy who is literally the son of a traitor. Not even their cranky elders care about him. Azadine just shrugs, stating he gets the job done, whether they like his face or not. The way our heretic casually ignores Midium's obvious crush makes Ishmael want to punch a solid wall. Out on patrol, Tarkvi and the Holy Knight sniff around. Maya squints at the soup-thick fog, thinking this screams horror movie. The snobby noble guesses monsters are crashing the party. Meanwhile, the paladin is still suspiciously wondering who the heck this blind guy really is. Let us be real, he does not fight like a harmless pilgrim, and even the pompous duke's son is utterly clueless about his identity. Maya strongly believes this monster mess requires a certified holy professional to boss everyone around. Oh, you mean the trained professional who got stuffed in a warehouse and needed a blind man to save her? Right. Midium's savage roast leaves the paladin utterly speechless. Suddenly, both the holy girl and the royal brat feel a seriously creepy chill. Peeking into the woods, a massive zombie buffet is marching right at them. Tarkvi just laughs, thinking this is a wildly entertaining sideshow. But our blind hero feels the real boss music kicking in. A gigantic, scaly wyvern rips through the cloudy sky. It dive bombs before flexing its massive wings. Our hero casually yells up, asking if this oversized lizard is the messenger who trashed the town. The winged beast gasps, demanding to know who snitched. Our guy deadpans, blaming it entirely on some gossiping merchants. Plot twist. The monster is actually the poor lady who got slapped in chains just for having the wrong magical DNA. When asked if she is still kicking, the witch snarks back, stating she is obviously alive. He doubts it though. Angry ghosts always live in denial. He presses the grumpy beast on where she scored such an incredibly busted power-up, while the peanut gallery grabs popcorn. The sidekicks groan at the stalling right as the witch sneers, asking why she owes him any spoilers. Want to know my secrets? Join my zombie fan club first. The wyvern lady crashes the party, sending everyone into a dizzy panic. Our hero sweats, drops waving his hands. Whoa, chill out. I am not with the jerks who bullied you. Peeking through the door crack, Midium drops her jaw. She marches right out to give this soulless edgelord a piece of her mind. Are you crazy? She hisses. Why are we flashing our top secret messenger clan badges right now? Our guy points at the messy family drama outside. Ishmael shrugs. Guess we just wiped them all out. Midium sighs, totally expecting that violent vibe check. But our main character plays the moral high ground. Guys, we cannot just recycle people like trash, even if they are snobby holy knights. The kids roll their eyes. Got a better plan, boss? They ask as he casually grabs his bow. Azadine smirks. They literally said survival of the fittest right. Guess it is time to speak their language. He draws the bowstring back, packing some serious main character muscle into the shot. Whoosh. The arrow absolutely deletes a zombie, leaving the fancy knights picking their jaws off the floor. Behold the true flex, our hero announces, turning zombies into pincushions. But alas, the undead VIP line is still way too long. He rapid fires headshots like a total aimbot, while the kids munch on imaginary popcorn, amazed by his skills. He is literally broadcasting our secret identity. Midium groans. Ishmael nods. Yep, 0 stealth points. His magic bow is insanely overpowered, but get this. The dude was a total noob just 3 months ago. Talk about plot armor. Panicking, the noble brat hides behind his shield, screaming at the holy knight to tank all the damage. Midium is baffled. How did a reject level up this fast? Suddenly, the big bad wyvern swoops back for round 2. No hesitating, our guy unleashes a triple shot, sending 3 more zombies straight back to the grave. An arrow literally shaves the hair off Chico's head. The poor guy is just shook that he actually survived. Ishmael spots the crazy archery and asks if that is the legendary weapon. Midium nods, confident that clunky paladin Maya cannot even touch them. Over in the holy corner, Maya is playing whack-a-mole with a giant metal mace. Splat go the zombies. Kaka goes full blender mode with her sword, while Chico desperately pokes at the rotting horde with his spear. Azadine smugs it up, yelling, "Hey, Snake Lady, is that enough proof of who the boss is?" The wyvern is not having this cheeky attitude. She unleashes a deafening screech that screams, "You done messed up now." Right on cue, a massive zombie bear bursts onto the scene, casually snapping a tree like a twig. "Oh great it is," Keepal Tarkvi whines. The wyvern roars again, officially reducing the human party to shaking messes. The witch cackles. Rule number 1 of villainy: never hold back the big guns. Should have spammed the mob wave from the start. Maya and Tarkvi now stare down an unbearably huge problem. The noble whacks the furry tank right on the dome. The bear 0 damage taken. The monster swipes back, and Shield Boy barely survives. Our hero watches from afar, muttering, "Okay, that boss has totally broken stats." He tries to snipe the flying lizard, but the wyvern says nope and tail slaps the entire roof right out from under him. Timber. He crashes through the ceiling straight into the living room where Midium casually greets his messy landing. Dusting himself off, our guy nervously chuckles. Yeah, stepping outside right now feels like a solid game over. Meanwhile, the giant zombie bear corners Tarkvi. The poor guy's soul practically leaves his body in sheer terror. Roar. The beast drops a heavy attack, obliterating the ground, but Tarkvi somehow dodge rolls out of the hitbox. Still, the splash damage catches him, leaving him coughing up blood like a classic dramatic anime scene. The undead horde swarms in, throwing a very bitey block party. Maya panics as her buddy is completely surrounded. Time to pull out the holy cheat codes. She charges up her shiny paladin magic. Boom. A giant glowing hammer drops from the sky. She unleashes a crazy divine smite, flattening the horde while the noble fangirls. The holy bonk triggers an absolutely massive explosion of blinding light. It totally vaporizes the zombies and the bear. But oops, the epic blast also knocks out Maya and Tarkvi in the process. Friendly fire much. Our hero facepalms. Did she just area of effect her own team? Meanwhile, the witch realizes this edgy archer is actually insanely dangerous. I mean, taking down that furry mini-boss was absolutely no joke. But she still has a whole zoo of rotting pets. She cackles. "What now, you stuck-up holy fools? Taste the karma of the girl you bullied." Midium and Ishmael start sweating bullets at the crazy villain monologue. Flaunting her massive army of doom, she flexes hard. Behold the true ridiculous power of the Messenger clan. The exact folks you despise. Our heretic sighs and apologizes. Why? Because this sorceress is completely clueless about their clan's absolute broken tier power. He casually knocks an arrow, leaving the witch absolutely jaw-dropped. His single shot just casually deleted half the giant wyvern's entire body. The massive beast eats dirt instantly, totally grounded and completely out of the game. That is when our main character decides to flex. Time to show off his people's ridiculous cheat skills. Legends say their bows shoot down literal stars. He lets 2 arrows fly, instantly sniping a pair of surprise wyverns right out the sky. He literally shoots his own arrow midair for an explosive combo. Talk about overkill. He flexes. The Emperor's order hunts even divine kings, and this is a raga. Outsiders brand them as the simple messenger clan, but internally, they proudly call themselves the Aragasa, face down in the dirt. The sorceress finally connects the dots and panics. Azadine introduces himself as the Emperor's messenger number 108. Plot twist. She just got wrecked by a mailman from her own hometown. Our hero states that despite their shared tragic history, he really had to put an end to her rampage. Coughing blood, the witch bursts into manic laughter before collapsing. She cannot believe this irony, especially after waiting 10,000 miserable nights for rescue. Since she was just a kid, she held out hope that her folks would drop by and save her from this pathetic life. But spoiler alert, no matter how long she stared at the door, the cavalry simply never showed up. Looking at her completely ruined true body, our hero realizes she is basically already a ghost. He softens up. "I am so sorry you suffered through this. After all, you had to tank all the humiliation and torture meant for our entire race completely solo." Enraged, she bites back. "Keep your useless apologies. My body is literal garbage now, and my soul is basically marinated in dark magic. That is exactly why I want to hit the delete button on all living things. Only a global game over can cure this headache." Going full villain mode, she orders her zombie army to box everyone in. The kids are suddenly sweating buckets under the intense aggro. Our hero just drops a heavy sigh. Then he aggressively demands to know where her actual children are hiding. She shrieks in pure denial. "I did not want those kids. They are just cursed spawns of the Wibbers trash who violated me." But our blunt heretic hits her with cold logic. Since they carry Araga blood, those kids are destined to suffer exactly like her for 10,000 nights, maybe even longer. They will tank endless abuse, eventually growing up to despise their own kin, just like a certain someone. If she does not want her personal tragedy to become their daily routine, she needs to wave the white flag and drop their coordinates right now. Invoking Emperor Yisalat, our main character pleads with her. promising a full rescue mission for the kids. Suddenly, her psycho energy wavers. "Will you really save them?" she asks, before her doom and gloom kicks back in. "No, that is literally impossible," she mutters. But our supposedly soulless guy doubles down. "Oh, it is entirely possible. Our squad has been doing the impossible since day one," he declares. "Even while treated like trash by Wibris, our epic stubbornness has never faded." Ishmael watches from the sidelines, noting that this motivational speech is actually working. Meanwhile, Midiam rolls her eyes, calling it some premium quality nonsense. Conviction? Is that even a real thing, she thinks? Being a messenger is basically just carrying a cursed backpack. Nobody is actually proud of this job. They just want the cash and flashy power-ups. Even our ancient ancestors were total loot goblins. But hey, if we snatch the God King's royal record, we can finally break this terrible minimum wage curse. The Aragasa will grab all the overpowered stats and serve massive karma right back to Wibris. A brutal system where only the buff get revenge. So everything he said has to be cap. Yet she is scratching her head. Why the heck does Azadine sound so incredibly persuasive right now? Right on cue, the terrifying witch throws in the towel and surrenders, leaving Ishmael absolutely stunned, and Midiam fangirling over his charisma. The witch gets dragged into a dramatic flashback, remembering when she was chained up. The bitter cold bit at them both, as she frantically tried to soothe her baby's heartbreaking wails. Cradling his little face, she sobbed right along with him in complete misery. But holding that tiny gremlin sparked a sudden warmth in her frozen heart, because at the end of the day, she was his entire world. The heavy nostalgia makes her drop to her knees. "I will bet on your crazy pride," she whispers. "Just one favor. Please adopt the poor kids I utterly failed to protect." Boom. The dark magic fizzles out, and the zombie horde hits the pause button. Midiam finally gets a major reality check. You really can talk no jutsu someone with pure conviction. Our hero drops to one knee, gently grabbing her hands and locking in the promise. "All right, give me the exact head count," he demands. "And do you remember the drop point where they were sold off?" She nods fiercely. She had stashed all the tracker clues in a secret depot, making absolutely sure her mommy brain would never forget. Azadine demands the source code of this nasty dark magic. She spills the tea. A creepy grimoire claimed to be the God King's pirated royal record. That massive lore drop leaves our boy completely shook, and just like that, an incredibly sinister new boss aura suddenly awakens. The flower breeze fire. The autumn fields explode into blazing infernos, swallowing the woman whole. Scarlet fire devours her, as her agonizing screams pierce the air. Our main character is totally stunned by the sorceress's instant game over. While he cradles her crispy remains, a smug voice shatters the silence, calling him a total noob. Enter a blindfolded red-haired mystery woman. "That fake sorceress wasn't one of ours," she announces with a smirk. "Let me guess, you didn't even notice, did you? Because plot twist, you can't even use magic." Our hero demands a name. "I am Calypso," she brags, "the 106th messenger in line. I bust evil spirits and hoard copies of the Divine King's book." Azadine glares, reminding her this turf is strictly his zone. But Calypso just scoffs. "Word on the street is, you're completely useless," she mocks. "You can't even keep your own sidekick in check. I literally could not watch such an epic failure embarrass our entire guild." Nearby, Midiam casually holds her blade to some very familiar throats. "Is this lady blind to the vibe?" she growls. Calypso just shrugs. "It's those same idiots." Midiam almost chopped up back at the village. They tagged along with me, dreaming of a pathetic revenge. The sorceress's soul was totally gone, leaving behind just a basic corpse. But our guy's brain is still buffering, with way too many questions. Calypso cuts his buffering short, labeling Azadine the 108th, a massive failure. "That woman wasn't an Araga," she declares, "and she definitely didn't have the flower breeze fire. Azadine, you basically crashed a party you weren't invited to. Honestly, you should be kissing my feet for carrying your dead weight." Suddenly, a glowing page of the Divine King's book pops right out of the corpse. Calypso dives for the loot. But wait, plot twist. The magic page pulls a massive juke. It zips right past her greedy fingers and floats beautifully into Azadine's hand. Furious, the great herald Calypso throws a fit. Why the heck did the legendary loot choose that absolute trash? Boom. She fires a flaming arrow. A flower breeze may rain. It smashes the page right out of his hand, pinning it to a tree like a boss. Calypso glares daggers at him, disgusted that a total scrub dared to touch such epic power. But the awkward truth is super obvious. The page totally recognized its true master. magnetically drawn to his crazy spiritual aura. Midium crosses her arms. So that's how the divine book actually works, she notes, before shooting Calypso a lethal glare. If you're a real Araga, maybe stop roasting the Emperor's turf for fun. Setting a dry forest on fire. Total rookie mistake. Calypso totally loses it. Zip it, daughter of ether. You are way too loud for a side character. Midium practically spits fire. But Calypso flexes her rank. I am a mighty messenger. You are literally just an NPC. That fancy ether bloodline means zero to me. Underlings don't give the boss orders. Midium just scowls, judging these absolute clowns. Meanwhile, Azadine squints at Calypso. Wait, wasn't she in his graduating class? He definitely remembers this bad attitude. He casually asks if she's triggered by his unique management style. Calypso cackles. Her rank is way higher, so she tells the kid to bow down. Ishmael is so over this boomer drama. He literally has zero patience for their endless bickering. He interrupts to ask if Azadine even checked the dead lady's pockets. They need to find those missing kids, like right now. The haters claim she's from Wyas, not the elite Araga clan, refusing to lend a hand. But our boy defends her honor. She is Araga. She tanked 10,000 nights of brutal torture. For the Araga name, she soloed all the clan's trauma, only to be dumped for having mixed stats. The precious Araga honor is basically stained, and right then, something finally clicks in his brain. This isn't just an edgy act or a flex. Azadine is actually 100% sincere. Pureblood, or hybrid, the guy lives by his own epic code, upholding his massive pride to the bitter end, looking absolutely magnificent while doing it. Suddenly, Calypso and her goon squad absolutely lose it, laughing like total supervillains. Oh, the irony. The clan's biggest outcast preaching about honor. Calypso immediately slaps down a challenge, a duel against Herald Azadine. The stakes. He bets the magic page and the sassy ether girl. In exchange, she bets her shiny rank and the GPS coordinates of those missing kids. If Azadine actually wins this boss fight, he steals her spot as the 106th. Our herald blinks. Why is the girl even in the prize pool? Calypso just wants to bully her into a loyal minion, teaching her some brutal manners. While the poor girl panics, Azadine drops a cool, reassuring head pat. The magic book literally picked me, he declares like a boss. I am not betting my own loot. Besides, once we find that dead lady's diary, we won't need your trash info anyway. Now get lost. He commands coldly. I am busy. Calypso's ego shatters. She erupts in blazing fury, cursing him out for treating her like an absolute nobody. Desperate to fight, she raises the stakes. If I lose, I will personally save those brats and march them straight to the sanctuary. The herald had one ridiculous condition for the bet. If Calypso lost, she'd become the ultimate babysitter, raising the kids the hardcore Aragasa way. Calypso, the 106th, stroked her chin. Very well, she declared. Shall we take 100 paces for an honorable duel? Honorable duel. Azadine didn't have time for that nonsense. Before the dramatic music could even start, wham! A ruthless strike met her face. She folded like a cheap lawn chair, spilling tomato sauce everywhere. Her goons just stood there, jaws practically hitting the floor. 1 single second. That's all it took. The herald nonchalantly tossed a stone and demanded, pay up. A promise is a promise. Calypso's lackeys were paralyzed by the sheer disrespect. Ignoring their silent screams, Azadine casually ordered them to patch up the wounded. Did he use a hidden dart? A cheat skill? She was standing a mile away. Honestly, nobody even saw the guy twitch. He tapped his foot, demanding his prize. The minions finally woke up and protested. Hey, sucker punches are totally against the rules. Azadine just shrugged. A sneak attack was the only way to drop her without breaking her neck. You're welcome. Or I could crush her skull fairly next time, he muttered. Pure terror seized the men. They furiously nodded, agreeing to every single term. Leaving the snoozing boss lady on the dirt, Azadine went straight to work. He quickly scanned the battered paladin and Tarkvi. No shattered bones, no internal bleeding. Miraculously, these guys were tougher than they looked. Chuck Tarkvi in the back of the wagon, he commanded. Mitem peeked over, totally baffled. Wait, did you secretly learn medical magic? Not quite, the herald smirked. It was a weird visual glitch. Zooming out gave him tunnel vision, but focusing up close expanded his sight immensely. Basically, he had a built-in X-ray feature. With a little practice, peering right through human skin was a piece of cake. Spotting the next victim across the way, he lazily pointed for his grunts to handle it. Kaka and Chico were definitely looking rough. Getting tackled by a massive bear had left their guts bruised, and that clunky armor, it just turned them into crushed tin cans. Maya's body was intact, but her mind was a total mess. Watching that crazy self-destruction would give anyone nightmares. Honestly, keeping a certain someone alive seemed like a waste of air. The herald was ready to end him, but the guy was too stubborn to just die. Suddenly, Midam waved her arms in a panic. Azadine Ishmael. We need to get out of Dodge right now. They piled into the wagon like sardines and hit the road. The girl sighed, rubbing her temples. Seriously, does the chaos ever take a day off? First, a literal black magic catastrophe. Then some counterfeit Divine King's book ruining our day. And now Kurt's creepy new gods are acting up. Is this the tutorial stage for the apocalypse? She asked the herald. He just chuckled. Tutorial no, the main event already started. Right on cue, Calypso jolted awake like a startled cat. Her minions fussed over her, but spotting Azadine made her flinch hard. He grinned at the wobbly woman. Time to pay your debts, boss lady. Still dizzy, she revealed a weird discovery. Her lackeys had rummaged through the storage room and found a seriously creepy artifact. Gross. It was an umbilical cord wrapped in old bandages, with the kid's exact birth dates scribbled right on it, plus a scrap of paper held some juicy merchant gossip. Our hero decided to check on the kids in Salasma, leaving her to clean up the mess. To her credit, she wasn't a sore loser. A messenger always keeps their word. No whining allowed. She surprisingly asked for his help. Azadine raised an eyebrow. Why so polite all of a sudden? She pouted. Because you beat me, boss. Then she leaned in, eyes burning with curiosity. How did you drop me? You can't even use the Moonflower Firebird. Wait, did that sly Elder Kazas teach him secret cheat codes? But our protagonist just gave a mysterious smirk, like he was going to reveal his overpowered skills that easily. A true master keeps his secrets until the grand finale. Changing the subject, he pointed at the shiny wand she'd been waving around. She bragged about looting it off some obnoxious cultists in her territory. Hearing that, the gears in the herald's brain clicked into place. Just as he guessed, that rare magic staff was actually a cheap, mass-produced knockoff. Calypso slapped on her mask. I'll get this chore done in a flash. Watching her zoom off, our hero finally let out a massive sigh of relief. The crazy lady was gone. Glancing over, the kids were snoring away peacefully, tangled up with his exhausted half-siblings and loyal grunts. He couldn't help but smile. Everyone's HP was practically at zero. Deciding to join the nap club, he crashed hard. Morning came fast, and Maya anxiously asked if the zombie horde was completely gone. The merchants gave a thumbs up. Don't sweat it. Those overpriced mercenaries we hired swept the whole area clean. Plus, Maya and the siblings had basically carried the team anyway. They yanked a cursed corpse out from under a dead tree. And poof. The black magic evaporated. Maya let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. The nightmare was finally over. Our hero sweated a little. Note to self. Next time, let's sync up our alibis first. Breaking the silence, Chico asked for the next quest destination. The bruised siblings chose the smart route. We're hitting the nearest inn to heal up, then crawling back to the guild. They looked at Azadine. Are you making a beeline straight for Salasma? Maya decided to split off to hunt for her missing dad. She was a girl on a mission, ready to sprint out the door. With the party officially disbanding, they promised to reunite when the plot inevitably brought them together. May the great archangel's grace bless you, Azadine offered with a saintly smile. Once she left, Midiam nudged him. Worried about the paladin, Azadine sighed. Nah. But the Emperor's voice. Been completely dead since this morning. The crew kicked out their campfire, casually telling our main character to hop on horseback. Just one problem, that horse was someone else's package. The snobby noble scoffed, daring to defy the Divine King's bloodline. Ishmael figured the guy just hated walking. Our hero silently agreed. Typical lazy aristocrat behavior. Meanwhile, Chico cornered our fake pilgrim, knowing this guy radiated serious main character energy. Blushing, Chico admitted his sister Reed could read the future. Our hero smirked internally. Talented, but definitely professional scammers. Reed dramatically predicted Azadine would become a legendary knight personally recognized by the Emperor's own herald. Our sneaky protagonist flashed an aw-shucks smile, thanked them, and gracefully dipped out. Staring up, he wondered where that pesky owl vanished to. But Ishmael ruined the vibe. Our goats are literally dying here. The drought was brutal. Tarkvi bragged about the east, but Azadine just pointed at a dusty village. Next stop, right there. Floating dead fish. Yeah, letting the goats drink that toxic river soup was a terrible idea. Hurry it up, the heretic barked. Local villagers were already crying about the rotting fish ruining dinner. Playing detective, our fake blind guy realized the awful truth. Overfishing this dying river was wiping everything out. Midiam had absolutely zero chill. Hey, they're doomed anyway. Might as well fry them up for lunch. They pointed out the obvious. A trickling river guaranteed a secret water well was hiding nearby. Getting water meant dealing with village politics. Tarkvi puffed out his chest. Stand back. A glorious knight will handle this. His brilliant diplomacy, screaming at poor farmers and demanding free water delivery like an absolute tyrant. Midiam mentally planned a severe etiquette lesson for Tarkvi. Azadine just smirked, grabbing popcorn for that future beating. Enter Azadine's legendary scam. He slapped on his poor blind pilgrim act. Midiam nodded. Weaponized pity was practically foolproof. Mingling with commoners. Definitely not standard Imperial Messenger protocol. But hey, that was the classic Azadine special. The funny part, Midiam taking notes made her buddy super jealous. Our sneaky hero just waved his bickering companions over. Ishmael stubbornly resisted Azadine's silver tongue. Yet minutes later, they somehow scored a gigantic mountain of free lobsters. Our main character bowed, turning up the fake humility. Oh, I simply couldn't accept such a royal feast. The farmer laughed. Buddy, they'll just rot anyway. Consider this a pop-up lobster festival and feast away. Azadine dumped the epic seafood loot before his dumbfounded party. Midiam blinked. Okay, what's the master plan here? Dropping the act, our scammer got serious. He needed to find the orphaned son of that fallen woman nearby. Ishmael raised a logical eyebrow. And then? What? Start a daycare. Obviously, dragging a toddler into battle was crazy. The big brain move dumped the kid with the passing Coruscant Guild rival Herald Calypso, would eventually scoop him up. Midiam deadpanned. He was literally sending trouble, engraved invitations. Hardships, pfft, that's the romance of being a herald. Do the grunt work and surely the Emperor's voice would reboot. Meanwhile, rumors flew. Did the mighty Calypso really get wrecked by the 108th Herald Azadine? No way she'd roll over. After an epic grind, she finally scored the Bone Wand to track the Holy Book. The clock was aggressively ticking. One wrong move and greedy rival messengers would totally snipe their progress. Her master plan, speedrun epic achievements, and flex on the elite Saban family. She literally risked her neck for this. Calypso clawed her way up using pure talent. Having zero rich kid privilege and being treated like trash made her furious. But plot twist, she swallowed her pride. Throwing a raging tantrum wasn't going to fix this epic loss. Suddenly, a lackey crashed in. Calypso barked orders gagged the Coruscant Guild, keep Azadine's crazy stunts totally off the record. Because if she was suffering, she definitely wasn't suffering alone. A beautifully evil scheme sparked. Just then, a spooky voice echoed in the 106th's mind. Show yourself, she snapped. I am Ariel, the voice purred. Her instincts screamed it was true. When her clueless minion squeaked, she hissed, shut up, her brain blue-screened. The Emperor's telepathy wasn't just some cheap knockoff artificial spirit. It was an absolute unit of a spell, a massive server connecting every artificial spirit. We're talking admin-level magic here. Only the Supreme Emperor had the clearance to code a network that insane. Did this hacker Ariel somehow mute the Emperor? Sweating Calypso demanded answers. The voice chuckled, I've got an offer you literally can't refuse. Ariel's voice suddenly takes physical form. It shifts into a creepy crow rocking a glowing red eye right on its belly. Meanwhile, our main character asks the locals about the missing kid. Shockingly, the peasants play dumb and aggressively tell him to get lost. But oops, one guy accidentally runs his mouth, leaking that the little girl was dragged here by the shady Telbaran Guild. His buddy instantly backpedals in pure panic. Our hero narrows his eyes. These villagers are dodging the truth like absolute pros. Midiam instantly smells a rat. Our hero nods. This sketchy dump lines up perfectly with the intel they got earlier. Cue Tarkvi. The stuck-up noble violently kicks his way to the front, ready to terrorize the peasants into spitting out the truth. He screams that they are facing royal blood. A terrified grandpa instantly snitches, pointing a trembling finger at the local bakery's chimney. Well, that was easy. The squad instantly marches straight toward the bakery for some aggressive window shopping. After all, that is exactly where their missing target is hiding. Plus, the poor girl is only 8 years old. They figure a tiny kid couldn't survive anything too brutal. Surely she is just scrubbing floors and doing basic chores right. The baker blinks at his sudden rush of heavily armed customers. But instead of ordering bread, the squad spots sketchy kids locked inside. Tarkvi glares at the sweating man and boldly announces they are hunting down a specific missing person. He shoves a wanted poster into the baker's face, demanding the 9-year-old girl. Sweating profusely. When pressed about his motives, the guy played totally dumb. Curious. Not me. He lied. He spun a sob story about the kid dying from natural frailty. Cue the noble knight's deadpan. Then who are those kids stashed in your storeroom, genius? Sweating bullets, the baker played the saint. Just stray orphans I generously gave jobs and bread to. Yeah, right. Tarkvi actually bought his garbage excuse. But the herald pressed harder. He demanded funeral receipts. The baker got defensive, whining about the weird questions. Time for our hero's secret signal. Tarkvi caught the hint. Bam. One brutal boot to the gut sent the baker flying. Tarkvi grabbed his hair, suddenly very threatening. "We want the kid," Tarkvi growled. "Her parents made a VIP deal, and you're ruining it. Spill the funeral location right now, or things get ugly." Tarkvi roared, demanding the absolute truth. The idiot confessed he just chucked the body into the river. Our hero lost it. "Are you out of your actual mind?" But then, the horrifying math finally clicked. Buy cheap kids from the guild, work them to the bone, and use the river as a free dumpster when they break. Disgusting. In a world where zombies are basically a daily weather forecast, this was next-level stupid. Tarkvi squeezed the baker's head tighter. "Hey Azadine, want me to delete this trash?" Tarkvi asked casually. The baker nearly wet himself in pure terror. Ishmael chimed in, wondering if Azadine planned to play superhero for kids he didn't even know. Clearly, this baker was a Telbrin Guild stooge. Ishmael casually suggested dumping the rescued kids at the Khorassar Syndicate's doorstep, which naturally would spark an absolute bloodbath of a guild war. Would the Khorassar group even take them? They acted like messenger saviors. But they strictly worshipped the almighty coin, even with a fancy herald begging for random orphans. Risking a corporate war was a huge nope. Looks like the power of friendship and justice wouldn't pay the bills today. They sarcastically begged the wise Azadine for an epic master plan. The blind man just sighed at Midiam. "Is this kid always this dramatic?" She shrugged. "Not usually. But Ishmael's crazy over-analysis is pretty spot on today." Before they could even start their strategy meeting, the scumbag baker suddenly shrieked his lungs out. He roasts the baker, yelling that he treated the chief's oath to protect kids like hot garbage. Our hero steps to the shiny knight. "Since when are you the boss?" Tarkvi plays the good henchman. "Chill boss, we'll stash the kids at my mom's house. Better vibes than this dusty village." The blind dude is shook that even trash has uses. "Fine, I'll handle this mess myself." The noble just keeps absolutely wailing on the screaming baker. After some aggressive persuasion, the baker signs a confession. Next stop, tattling to the guild and shipping the kids away. Later on, random NPCs are seen fixing their wagon wheels. They spot Azadine and absolutely panic. Our guy has zero clue who they are, but they desperately claim to be his day one bros. Midiam is totally baffled. "Veterans, you guys aren't even heralds or devotees." So obviously one points a sword right at Azadine. "You're fired from the herald, so come quietly," they bark. Our main character just snorts. "Are you guys drunk, or did you forget to take your meds today?" They double down. "Seriously, the big bosses upstairs personally kicked you out." Words fail, so they go for the grab. Catching him means a sweet promotion to official messenger status. Free real estate. Azadine sighs. So that's the real motive. Pulling swords in a peaceful village just to climb the corporate ladder? Classy. Unbothered by the pointy metal, Azadine casually borrows Ishmael's staff. He needs these clowns conscious to spill the tea, but these boomer veterans just smirk. They mock his past, bragging about making him cry back in the day. Oh, and they used to force kisses on him because he looked like a pretty girl named Ariel. Gross. Azadine's crew instantly gags. Pure, unadulterated cringe. Okay, now it's personal. Azadine promises a very painful lesson. The duo charges blades swinging for the fences. A deadly cross-slash incoming, but our herald just catches the raw steel. Barehanded. Zero flex. Their brains short-circuit seeing him palm cold steel, before the shock turns into absolute rage. He just chuckles. His hands slide down the blades, sparking with a menacing, crackling purple aura. Boom. The poetry of flowers and winds, Quaz style. Explosive magic sends them flying like ragdolls, eating dirt with shattered swords. Wait, was that a cutting lightning strike? Their tiny minds are blown. They thought he was a magicless scrub. Azadine just mutters, hoping he didn't accidentally one-shot both of his informants. Suddenly, a spooky twilight drops. Azadine pulls a ninja vanish, leaving the old dudes fuming in the dark. One idiot charges blind. Meanwhile, Azadine shadow steps right behind them. Classic teleportation flex. They realize they messed up exactly 1 second too late. He drops his From Twilight to Nightfall combo. A totally busted one-hit combo. They eat a massive back attack, flying through the air with 0 health left. Crunch bones break as they kiss the pavement. That speed was basically a cheat code. Rumor always said Azadine had 0 mana. Now they're begging for the patch notes. The herald sighs, blaming the bumpy terrain for hitting them too hard. Seeing them twitch, he actually praises their cockroach-like survival skills. Interrogation time. But wait, a random raven lands, dropping premium doom alerts for the 108th messenger. Plot twist. The Emperor's voice, which had been ghosting him, suddenly logs back on. The admin message, "You are banned from the clan. Oh, and a lethal service curse is now active. Have a nice day." Azadine's party drops their jaws straight to the floor. This contract isn't just an agreement. It's a literal curse, demanding absolute, unyielding loyalty. If the Boomer Council smashes the activation button together, the victim must literally pop out in air before dying. Our hero demands to know if he's stuck in this nightmare. The Raven drops the timer. You have exactly 1 year. 1 year to give birth before he kicks the bucket, just like his poor dad, Akri. Generational trauma unlocked. Tark V's brain completely breaks. Give birth. How does a dude even do that? Biology has left the chat. He's out here asking for the baby daddy and the mommy. Utter chaos. Azadine is sweating bullets, screaming at the sky about why the Emperor coded this cursed rule. Turns out it wasn't the Emperor, it was the first Patriarch Heronia who set this troll penalty. Then the voice gets ready to leak classified info. Azadine urges it to spit it out before the connection drops. The Raven warns that the voice's magic runs on a super strict firewall. No spilling state secrets or the artificial spirit's eternal subscription gets cancelled. Getting fired was already deleting the voice's existence files. Yet, it broke the terms of service just to give Azadine a heads up. What a bro. The squad is totally baffled. Why is our main character getting VIP treatment? Tark V realizes his boss has supreme protagonist energy. But still, male pregnancy followed by death. Hard pass. The voice admits the curse is a death sentence, but still gives Azadine a massive 5-star rating out of respect. Meanwhile, the beat-up veterans are crying about Azadine disrespecting the Emperor's Wi-Fi. Priorities, guys. Boiling with rage, Azadine snapped. When you are drowning in a sea of deadly problems, bowing to snobby nobles is the last thing on your mind. Midiam watched in stunned disbelief. Could this actually be happening? Considering Azadine's freakish birth, anything was possible. But this was no ordinary technique. It was a terrifying curse. Our hero furiously demanded answers. Why would the Emperor's voice expel a hardworking herald stationed in a completely different country? The Emperor's voice dropped a massive bombshell. His beloved twin sister Ariel had mercilessly assassinated Elder Kenahan. Worse yet, she snatched every copy of the Divine King's book and vanished into thin air. Ariel had committed the ultimate unforgivable treason. Ishmael nodded, claiming the service curse activation finally made sense. But Azadine lost his mind. Ariel was the traitor, so why was he paying the price? One foolish herald dared to accuse our protagonist of plotting with her. Big mistake. Azadine absolutely exploded. Team up with Ariel. That crazy woman gave him the nasty scar on his face. He would rather eat dirt than side with her, but these clueless veterans knew nothing about their toxic sibling rivalry. They just assumed the twins were super tight. In their blind eyes, Ariel was a loving, protective sister. Hearing this utter garbage, our hero totally lost his marbles and cursed them into oblivion. While Ariel was out there gathering legendary power and fame, our poor heretic hadn't earned a single pathetic copper coin from her success. He hoisted both veterans by their collars, shaking them like rag dolls. I am completely broke, Azadine roared in their faces. Parents literally threaten their naughty children by saying they will have to marry me, and yet everyone treats Ariel like a goddess, calling her Heronia's reincarnation. It drove him insane that he was catching the deadly service curse for her crimes. His colleagues gulped in sheer terror. They had never seen him this insanely furious before. When the battered veterans stammered that they had no idea, he dropped them. Then he started cackling like an absolute lunatic. His mind snapped. He seriously debated just wiping out his entire corrupted bloodline right then and there. Now that would be a legendary betrayal. Desperate to survive, the veterans begged him to visit the Patriarch and politely asked to cancel the expulsion. They argued only one person had ever died from this curse. Azadine glared daggers at them. Yeah, and that one person was my father, Era. The atmosphere instantly plummeted to absolute zero. His blinding hatred was now suffocating everyone in the room, yet his annoying logic kicked in. Facing the Patriarch was the only way to survive this mess, and his team eagerly agreed. The badly bruised veterans nervously suggested faking his capture. Our hero smiled menacingly. Do you two idiots want to be castrated right here, right now? They frantically crossed their legs in sheer horror. But to our savage heretic, castration felt like a rather light tap on the wrist. He hadn't forgotten the absolute hell they put him through as a kid. They sweat profusely, swearing their stupid plan was actually to protect him. Because, let's be real, the Patriarch had just ordered his immediate arrest and execution. They cried, "Are you seriously going to brawl with the entire clan? Especially when every herald assassin is already hunting for your head." But going quietly meant worse torture. Hell no. Azadine was going to march into Salasma and face the Patriarch on his own badass terms. Any scrub who blocks his path gets an instant beatdown. Honestly. Besides Aldous and the Patriarch, the rest were just worthless cannon fodder anyway. He chucked the beaten veterans into the wagon like sacks of potatoes. Their new mission, play babysitter for the kids. They furiously nodded, promising to safely deliver the children to Tark V's mother, Baroness Nort. They also promised to hype him up to the Emperor's voice. swearing thod. They would play the ultimate wingman, swearing his insane actions were entirely justified. With the deadweight gone, our chaotic hero squad finally arrived at the gates of Salasma, a massive bustling city of 3,000 households. It was drowning in wealth from ancient super-rich copper mines. Tarkave immediately flexed his noble privilege. "I am the son of Count Castle," he shouted, shamelessly cutting the massive line, while everyone groaned in sheer annoyance. The intimidated guards instantly waved them through. Even our heretic was impressed by this hilariously speedy VIP treatment. Tarkve smugly looked back. "Hey boss, did I just earn some major brownie points or what?" But suddenly the mood chilled. Our protagonist spotted two shady goons from the Coruscant Merchants Association. One look at their intensely glaring eyes told him everything. They definitely knew about his shiny new execution bounty. But Tarkve noticed their dirty looks first. He puffed out his chest and barked, "Are you staring at my handsome face just because I am Count Castle's son?" The goons flinched and quickly apologized. But Tarkve wasn't done. "Words are cheap. Go fetch me a cold drink if you are truly sorry." As the terrified assassins scurried away for drinks, Azadine smirked. This arrogant noble brat actually had some legendary acting skills. Thanks to Tarkve's insane bluff, the Coruscant thugs could not even approach them. Moving on, the group spotted some suspicious figures hauling heavy, shiny valuables. Classic Salasma behavior. Those thugs were casually looting in broad daylight like it was a completely normal Tuesday. But then hoofbeats echoed. A fierce white-haired woman rode in with an entire fleet. Tarkve gasped in horror. It was his terrifying older half-sister Vine. Spotting her mountain of stolen snacks and loot, he sighed. Yep, greed definitely ran in their family. She side-eyed his missing squad. "Where is your backup?" "Looks like they met a seriously nasty end." Vine totally blamed him. Rumors were wild. Lord Castle got wrecked, losing his entire crew and a literal arm. Our naive boy actually believed being a good noodle brought lucky plot armor and ghost ancestors. Cute. Sensing free real estate, while Tarkve spaced out, Vine went feral. She charged, sword raised for murder. Smack, a random flying rock sniped her hand, dropping her sword. "Who threw that?" she screeched. Our hero, currently cosplaying a blind pilgrim, just sweat dropped. Why is she at level 99 aggro? Her goons flexed their weapons, boxing Tarkve in. "Sis, are you seriously trying to slice your own brother? Better than chasing some mythical king's book that probably does not even exist," she barked back. Tarkve flinched, staring up at a completely unhinged dude winding up a heavy skull-crushing swing. Clang, the noble barely blocked the diving slash. The attacker nicked him, then smoothly backflipped away. "You messed up big time," Tarkve yelled. "Do you have any idea who carries my bags now? Azadine could flick you to death." Seeing his bodyguard just chilling, Tarkve whined. "Bro, little help here." Azadine yawned. "Nah, I want to watch you struggle." Midium immediately jumped into the roast session. He is eating for two now. That nasty service curse probably put a little food baby in his tummy. While Midium dropped that utterly cursed lore, Tarkve was busy getting absolutely bullied by his sister. Horrified, Azadine grabbed his stomach. "That is foul," Midium smirked. "Shh, rage is bad for the baby." Meanwhile, the actual deathmatch continued. Vine was popping a blood vessel because they were literally podcasting. Bam, she whipped a magical tantrum right at the herald. He sidestepped. "Kids, beat her up, just do not kill her." The kids blinked at the very real, very sharp swords. Sir, they are trying to unalive us." But the heartless heretic just grabbed popcorn. Time to see if these pint-sized warriors could sweep the floor. Sighing at their terrible boss, both kids pulled their blades. Guess it was time to commit some mild violence. The goons rushed in, sparking absolute chaos. Our main character watched, totally baffled by Tarkve's negative skill level. Their MVP was some sleepy-eyed grunt who decided to target the smallest kid, Ishmael. Big mistake. He swung hard enough to launch a truck, but he only hit dirt as the boy vanished like a ghost. Popping up behind him, Ishmael delivered a nasty reality check right to the so-called MVP's spine. Not a one-shot kill, but definitely enough ketchup loss to force a rage quit if he did not bandage up. For a literal child, Ishmael was cracked. He danced around those rusty adult swords like an absolute tryhard. He would make a killer. Herald Azadine nodded like a proud dad. The kid kept completely dunking on the grown men. On the flip side, Tarkve somehow lost a fight with his own horse and ate dirt. Azadine cringed internally. All pay-to-win gear, zero actual skills. A soldier charged, ready to send the clumsy noble back to the lobby. Sighing, Azadine locked onto his target. He yeeted a rock with sniper precision, dropping the grunt screaming. Fast forward to their crushing defeat. Vine cried about having to return the loot and do chores like a peasant. "Be glad you are breathing," Azadine smirked. "You bullied Tarkve, so now we are bullying you. Karma is sweet. No body count means you live today. But try any funny business and your respawn privileges get permanently revoked." And just like that, the evil sister and her battered squad scattered like roaches when the lights flip on. Tarkvi was visibly disgusted. Imagine trying to cancel your own sibling over some shiny family coins. They used to be besties, so the betrayal stung. Meanwhile, Azadine suddenly looked way too zen for someone cursed. Midiam snickered. Ah, look, the mood swings are settling. The miracle of male pregnancy truly is beautiful. Knock it off, Azadine barked, turning red. There is zero baby. This cursed magic is just messing with me. A magical belly buddy is a big nope. Changing the subject, Ishmael asked why their boss hoarded some loot but fenced the rest. Logistics kid Azadine shrugged. You think I could drag an entire treasury back by my lonesome? Plus, those fleeing cowards do not need heavy trash, except that fancy candlestick, of course. That was pure cash. The herald's moral compass was essentially a roulette wheel. He glared at the boy. My rules. You got an issue. Ishmael just shook his head at his chaotic boss. You are literally the weirdest bug in this entire system. Honestly, murderers are easy for him to understand. Azadine even claims he gets Ishmael's weird vibe, but Tarkvi barks at them to shut up. Just ahead, the Order of Saviors blocks the path. Their glorious three-winged wheel banner flaps proudly. Seeing the Order's massive base up close is absolutely jaw-dropping. Azadine looks like a total fanboy, but Ishmael squints suspiciously. He knows they are from Hybris, and their street gossip is sketchy. Midam debates dropping the dark rumors, but figures Azadine is way too starstruck to actually care. When Ishmael teases her sudden compassion, she deadpans. I just hate stressing out pregnant women. It is bad for them. Azadine scowls, snapping that Midam is reaching critical annoying levels. He is already fuming over the crusty elders who fired him. He fears Ariel totally botched things. But meeting the patriarch means his curse vanishes. He quickly bagged 2 copies of the Divine King book and 3 gold coins. Pulling that off is basically a myth among messengers. He now holds all the negotiation cards. Surely they will not execute him just for mildly swiping their sacred texts right. Assuming otherwise is pure paranoia despite their glaring hatred. Meanwhile, a massive crowd funnels into a tent, flashing the order symbol. A supposedly noble knight violently kicks rocks, grumbling like a toddler forced into menial peasant labor. With his nose stuck in the air, Ishmael casually drops that our herald sneaked toward the order just now. He reportedly dragged along sleeping blankets, but Midam firmly insists it was strictly a solo loan. Midam swears if he loses them, he will rot in hell or be reborn into the herald lineage. Ishmael finds her cursed threats inspiring. Midam side-eyes Azadine for snatching their bread, which is super weird considering their bags are bursting with food. Defensively, he claims he was just doing a holy taste test. It was not stealing, just a totally legit offering. Midam scoffs at him paying the order, especially since Azadine begged for their fancy seal earlier and got ruthlessly rejected. She bluntly reminds him they look like heroes in storybooks, but reality, they will slaughter him the second they smell his herald lineage. Azadine just gives a dramatic shrug. Getting assassinated wouldn't exactly shake his unbreakable faith anyway. Taking a bold bite of the order bread, he instantly gags. It is a solid rock. So they just toss it into the boiling stew. Midam cringes, seriously doubting if this literal weaponized carb is safe to eat. She whines that it smells like cheap sawdust, but the herald quickly shushes her food critique. It is official, refugee grub cooked by the order. He stole it for science and refuses to waste his experiment. Q3 incredibly filthy orphans popping out of nowhere whining they have starved for 3 days. Tarkvi coldly snorts, declaring his bread is strictly for adults. Want food, kids, sign your soul away. Azadine actually offers them his cursed order bread. Tarkvi acts utterly disgusted that a knight would feed such inferior beings. In Tarkvi's warped mind, Bleeding Heart charity is strictly the order's annoying job, not his. Since our non-refugee hero totally swiped their supplies, he charmingly tells the kids to consider this, his generous payback. But our sharp protagonist easily connects the dots. The sneaky adults use them as bait. As he packs a care package, 2 shady hooded dudes suddenly warp in, sarcastically praising the heretic for his charity work. A creepy bald geezer sneers, genuinely shocked that Azadine has the massive guts to stroll down Main Street. Especially with an active kill warrant on his head, the protagonist immediately recognizes the notorious Salasma regional chief. Talk about express delivery. This was their exact target, and the fool casually waltzed into their laps. A lackey barks at Azadine to show some respect and use his proper title, Lord Salem. The crony spits that he knows our heretic, brutally crushed the association members, boasting that messengers totally outrank mere servants. Our herald instantly pieces it together. The geezer is top-tier Savan brass, and that rat Derrick totally snitched on his every move. Flexing his authority, Salem lazily waves his hand, ordering the filthy commoners away. The protagonist taps Tarkvi for crowd control. True to form, the crazy noble threatens to barbecue the orphans and feed them to the old man. Ishmael takes one look at the sheer deadly tension, cheerfully announcing he is strategically stepping away too. Stepping into the chief's lavish tent, our hero hears soft harp music, a fancy noise-canceling setup for secret chats. The heretic smirks, tossing out a fake compliment about how the elegant vibe makes Salem look aristocratic. Blood vessels pop on the old man's forehead. He is barely resisting instantly disintegrating him on sight. If Azadine had not tactically hid in a crowded plaza, he would be dead. But first, he needs to handle Ariel's solo betrayal. Glaring literal daggers, Salem growls, demanding to know if he is really on Ariel's side. Our MC clapped back, demanding his exile be cancelled. "I'm not teaming up with my crazy sister." The boomer scoffed at his audacity. Why help him? He fully believed Azadine and Ariel were just acting out a fake rivalry to scam everyone. Total garbage, our hero snorted. As if Ariel needed a hated loser like him to spy, his extreme unpopularity made him a terrible double agent anyway. Salem fumed. Zero groveling, zero tears, just pure disrespect from this cheeky punk. Even if our guy totally hated his sister, Salem refused to beg the elders for a pardon. But Azadine clapped back. An innocent young messenger was about to die over fake news, making it mandatory. Being Ariel's brother made him a walking red flag. The regional boss simply couldn't ignore such spicy drama. Plus, if the big bosses undid his exile, the clan's fragile ego would instantly crumble. Saving their fragile ego and strict pecking order meant absolutely everything. Azadine figured his flashy exile was just damage control for his sister's giant messy betrayal. He'd play along publicly. The price, cancel his death warrant and pinky promise to end his timeout in exactly 6 months. Salem instantly shut him up. Furious that a brat wanted terms and conditions, with veins popping, the old man yelled that flimsy promises meant nothing when lives were on the line. The boomer ranted that Azadine had always been a massive troll, constantly roasting the elders' decisions. Now he was just being extra, and Salem despised it. Honestly, if they weren't in public, he would have totally ganked this annoying kid by now. Smirking, our main character basically said, "Let's step outside and settle this like men." "You want to go punk?" Salem barked. He flexed, bragging that even as a senior citizen, he could totally floor him. He was itching to personally slap the disrespect right out of this cheeky brat's mouth. Boom. First Lieutenant Aldous crashed, the party casually. Dropping a long time no see Azadine, Salem instantly switched to kiss-up mode, saluting. Aldous rolled her eyes and told them to chill, pointing at the massive crowd, grabbing popcorn. Salem asked why she was here. Simple. Hearing about Azadine's dramatic exile, she absolutely refused to miss out on the action. The second the tea was spilled, she sprinted straight to Orangji. She ripped him a new one for such an epic fail. She had burning news to share, surviving a brutal 3-day speedrun just to deliver it. Aldous then flexed her VIP status, explaining she had badgered the Grand Boss and totally vouched for Azadine's massive loyalty. Boom, she whipped out a shiny contract, fully signed by Hadir and the grumpy elders. This glorious paper carried the Emperor's literal holy vocal approval. It promised his exile ends in 6 months. Our boy was overflowing with gratitude for her epic mega carry. Giving him a gentle shoulder pat, she smiled and said it was just basic common sense. She admitted his drama gave her massive anxiety. Honestly, anyone believing he was a traitor basically had 0 brain cells. "I'm chilling," he shrugged. His goofy chill made her giggle, which instantly activated Midiam's raging jealousy mode in the background. Midiam boiled. He pampered Aldous, but treated her like a totally invisible background NPC. Aldous sighed, hoping Azadine could somehow understand the grumpy boomer's absolute obsession with strict pecking orders. She gave him soft head pats. A wholesome vibe sparked, making the nosy crowd whisper. Were they dating? Aldous just smiled, remembering her panic when she first met the chaotic siblings, amazed by how much they'd totally leveled up since then. Heronia, the absolute OG granddaddy of the Herald's clan, could literally read nature's DMs. He understood bird gossip, blooming flowers, moon phases, and breezy secrets. These were VIP perks from the Emperor. He also basically gave the messengers their ultimate stat buff. So the clan fanboyed over his iconic purple eyes, crowning the top messenger of each generation as Heronia's literal respawn. So naturally, our girl, Aldous, rocking the royal Jada bloodline, flashy purple eyes and completely broken stats, was worshipped as Heronia 2.0, the Herald's boss. Hadir scooped her up as his VIP student, trusting her to decode the Divine King's legendary cheat manual. Flashback time. Grandmaster Hadir, the messenger's top boss, rode his trusty horse, alongside a cute little girl with flashy purple eyes. She pointed confidently, claiming the legendary loot was right there. But, plot twist. A greedy nerd got instantly deleted, trying to snatch the legendary book. That traitor was Akri Azadine's literal dad. Suddenly, a nasty, creepy umbilical cord exploded from his corpse like absolute nightmare fuel. Hadir was absolutely dumbfounded. A lowly lab rat actually outsmarted the almighty heralds, ghosting them for an entire year. Who knew the guy was secretly a mastermind? Meanwhile, the girl pointed out the glaringly obvious. These kids were the literal spawn of a cursed contract. And in this clan, The curse's wrath on a traitor's bloodline was 100% guaranteed. He shot the younger Aldous an incredulous look. You seriously want to adopt this ticking time bomb? Treasonous blood needs purging, right? Plus, the contract strictly stated, buy one, get none free. Yet here were twins, as Aldous scooped up the baby boy. Wait, plot twist. The kid literally had 0 eyes. Hatir immediately waved the red flag. 2 kids instead of 1. Huge bad omen. But Aldous fired back, claiming being eyeless wasn't a capital offense. She swore the little guy had magical radar vision. Hatir just sighed. Better to end him now because our clan's fate will chew him up anyway. But then, there was the sister Ariel. She was rocking those legendary purple eyes of Heronia, an exact carbon copy of Aldous' own gaze. Cue the puppy dog eyes. Aldous begged the Herald Master to let her keep them, arguing they'd become monster snacks if dumped outside. The big boss fiercely rubbed his temples, and finally threw his hands up in defeat. Fine, whatever. Hey, they just lost the Divine King's ultimate manual. Might as well loot the consolation prizes. Still, adopting a traitor's spawn was pure comedy to the clan. Back at the Aragosa headquarters, the council was collectively losing their absolute minds. One elder played devil's advocate. Hold on. What if these screaming babies are secretly the Divine King's book in human form? Another elder completely lost his cool. That's exactly why we need to squash them right this second. Honestly, even the chill members agreed. It would be way less paperwork if both kids just magically vanished. Hatir gave Aldous a harsh reality check. You're pushing your luck, kid. Don't test the elders. Did she listen? Nope. She stubbornly declared she was naming them both. Nameless babies dying not on her watch. Even wrapped in the entire clan's death glares. Aldous was dead set on giving them an identity. The master slammed his fist down. Absolutely not. Naming is sacred magic here. Do it, and your fate is permanently glued to these cursed brats. You are a top-tier Jada. Absolute royalty among our founders. You carry Heronia's legendary eyes. We aren't tossing our best VIP talent down the drain for 2 jinxed babies. The boss demanded to know why she wanted to crash her own career. Holding little eyeless Azadine, even she couldn't come up with a logical excuse. Her inner anime protagonist just took over. Shielding helpless babies just felt right okay. Plus, she was actually tight with Acre, the traitor. She weirdly understood why he pulled his massive betrayal. She just couldn't stay mad at the guy, Hatir panicked. Keep that treasonous talk to yourself or the elders will literally mount your head on a spike. Out of patience, the Herald boss hijacked the naming ceremony himself. The boy became Azadine, the badass dragon of ruin, and the girl, Ariel, the angel of light. But wait, those are mythic figures doomed to mutually destroy each other in endless combat. What a lovely baby gift. Yeah, he named them after ancient warmongering gods the clan used to worship. Subtle boss. Very subtle. Flash forward 3 years. Ariel rocking those purple eyes was already 360 no-scoping targets as a literal toddler. Seriously, a 3-year-old casually flexing apocalyptic mana levels, completely absurd. Aldous was starry-eyed over her overpowered stats. She was banking on Ariel breaking every clan record, maybe even dethroning Heronia herself. Aldous totally hyped her up. This toddler right here, the undisputed strongest herald in history. People thought Aldous would be jealous, losing her reincarnated genius's title to an infant. But honestly, she was just a super proud mama bear. And then there was her brother. The eyeless kid was currently sobbing because a bully named Hwari stole his lunch money. He bawled for his overpowered sister to save him, while the peanut gallery gossiped about his pathetic 0 mana status. Why the massive stat difference? Aldous explained the cursed math. They were originally supposed to be one perfectly balanced baby. His absolute unit of a little sister just hugged her crying brother. Oh, basically, Ariel won the genetic lottery. Azadine just got the leftover scraps. His broken internal system just threw all magical energy into the trash bin. The one upside, it basically made him a walking firewall against dark magic. The hilarious downside, he literally couldn't cast a single basic spell to save his life. Hatir connected the tragic dots. Ariel accidentally hoarded all the stats in the womb. Talk about a brutal spawn kill by destiny. Look, the Araga clan were absolute monsters compared to normal folks. They were totally obsessed with becoming elemental gods. Around here, if you weren't ridiculously overpowered, you were basically just a rug. But naturally, this power obsession turned completely toxic. It was your classic setup. Worship the overpowered and totally crush the weak. Enter our tragic main character, Azadine. He was basically the clan's punching bag, shedding enough tears to fill a swimming pool. They ruthlessly roasted him for his bedwetting habits. Meanwhile, his twin sister Ariel just watched like a menacing shadow. Cue the boss music. The bullies instantly froze. absolutely terrified by her lethal aura. Our poor weeping boy kept crying out for his twin. She coldly turned away, but those punks knew touching him meant a one-way ticket to the afterlife. Luckily, once Ariel started her actual combat training, she totally chilled out. Well, mostly. Cue the ultimate betrayal. Our hero cried rivers, feeling totally dumped by his twin. Everyone branded him a useless extra who couldn't even breathe without Ariel. Hitting rock bottom, he ran off to a dramatic waterfall. It was the perfect spot to vent his monumental angst. Trapped in his own despair, he screamed at the heavens. Seriously, why did the universe nerf his starting stats so badly? Meanwhile, Lady Aldous was hiking up the mountain, carrying goodies for the kids. She just hoped these little gremlins would actually appreciate her gifts. Hitting the peak, she took in the gorgeous scenery. Classic main character backdrop. Absolutely breathtaking. Rocking the overpowered bloodline of the Jagus gods, Aldous wasn't about to become mosquito snacks. So she activated her flashy nature magic. Just as she summoned the elements, a magical broadcast interrupted. The Emperor's voice echoed. A kid had taken a deadly plunge. Zero hesitation. She busted out a legendary sprint and literally yeeted herself off the mountain to save our boy. Fishing a soaked Azadine out of the water, she panicked, checking his vitals. The shivering kid immediately latched onto her like a lifeline. She wrapped him up in a massive hug and a cozy blanket, asking why he pulled a stunt like that. Cue the dramatic waterworks part 2. Sure, she knew his training was an absolute nightmare. But this wasn't just about failing gym class. He had been totally expelled and told his herald dreams were dead. Patting his head, she reminded him that getting a normal job wasn't the end of the world. To thaw out our little popsicle, she sparked up a massively overpowered bonfire. She ordered him into burrito mode before he caught hypothermia. Then she pointed up, telling him to check out the epic starry sky. She even whipped out a magical fairy picture book. Story time on a mountain peak. Total mood. Our curious hero wondered if stars were stuck in place. Aldous smiled, explaining how she basically played connect the dots in the sky to make legendary myths. We are talking ancient pre-patch lore here. These fairy tales existed way before the Yiga's gods ever logged into this server. And yes, she totally nerded out and learned the ancient fairy language back in the day. Mind blown. Our boy had never seen anything so beautiful. Suddenly, the empty night sky looked like a masterpiece, but gazing at those stars awakened a painful main character longing in his chest. Anyway, fast forward to the Herald clan's epic summer bash held every 2 years. During this massive festival, VIPs from across the map spawned right at the sanctuary. Jackpot. This meant daily hangouts with Lady Aldous. He played the loyal bookworm, returning the magical novels he had totally binge-read. She tested his lore knowledge, asking for his favorite scenes from Introduction to the Order of Saviors. The classic 3-stat requirement, max out courage, wisdom, and compassion, and boom, you unlock holy white magic. And we all know, white magic is the ultimate overpowered skill of the Divine Kings. Our boy craved that magic like crazy. Even if the so-called saviors felt like a bunch of glorious scam artists. Scammers or not, Azadine was hooked. Aldous looked at him and dropped the big question. Do you want to join the club? But he stubbornly hit deny. He was an Araga, a cursed race that everyone completely despised because of their ridiculous base strength. The irony. Azadine was basically a defective model. A hilariously weak Araga, making him a walking target for double the hate. The whole server hated his race, so obviously the saviors would too. Plus, he had zero confidence in his own face. Seriously, his looks were rated so poorly that bullies literally bagged his head once. Talk about extreme reviewing. Aldous casually asked if he hated her, sending him into absolute panic mode. She hugged him, dropping a massive guilt trip. Hating yourself means hating me since I saved you. And making Lady Aldous sad? That was basically a criminal offense. She was practically his adoptive mom. She reminded him that those 3 magical stats could turn literally anyone into a legendary savior. All he had to do was grind those virtues. Aldous firmly declared he could choose whatever character class he desired. Cue the predictable timing. The moment she left, the generic trash mob bullies spawned, demanding he drop his precious book. They got the intel that his overpowered bodyguard had finally logged out of the zone, jealous that he had been living the VIP life with Aldous. These 3 losers proudly announced it was game over for our boy. But, plot twist, these absolute clowns could not even scratch him. Why? Because Sister Ariel just entered the chat and she was looking absolutely murderous. Plot twist. It was actually his lovely sister Ariel who sliced his eyes up. Talk about a dramatic entrance. Those bullies thought he was just playing the victim card to hog all of Aldous' attention. But Ariel spotted his contraband heretical book. She totally flipped her lid and demanded answers. She snatched his precious loot right out of his hands. The poor guy panicked, begging her to chill out. Instead of chilling, she went full wrestling mode on her twin brother. Even the bullies ran away crying. Then she dropped the real bomb. Did he have the hots for their adoptive mom, Aldous? He dodged harder than a ninja, but Big Sis knew he was totally friend-zoned. Honestly, there was zero point in hiding his ridiculous crush. Sure, there was a 12-year age gap. But Aldous had literal godblood, meaning she was basically immortal and permanently gorgeous. While they grew up and got wrinkles, Aldous would stay looking like a top-tier goddess. Ariel viciously roasted him, asking if he would still call her mommy when they were the exact same age. Deep down, our boy was absolutely down bad. She was his whole world. But admitting those unholy thoughts, not a chance. He wanted to keep his super pure, wholesome feelings totally squeaky clean. He had sworn this to his psycho sister, who constantly tried to push his buttons and make him snap. She mocked that he needed to become the absolute strongest to claim a goddess. Did he have the guts? Our boy responded by throwing a totally justified punch. Big mistake. Sis turned her bare hand into a literal energy sword and slashed him right across the eyes. Staring down at his bleeding face like he was absolute trash, Ariel smirked. She literally told him to say thank you, claiming a cool scar was way better than having useless eyeballs. What a menace. Dragging his battered self home, our guy was foaming at the mouth. He swore epic, unforgiving revenge against his crazy twin. Rocking some fresh bandages, he cursed her name like a true edgy villain in the making. Suddenly, a random voice chimed in. Admiring his fiery teenage angst, the stranger compared him to a legendary crimson dragon. Our blind hero barked out asking who the heck was there. The intruder just chuckled at his aggressive vibe. Enter Elder Kazas, a pointy-eared, blonde-haired elf who told the angry kid to chill his beans. An elf. Our protagonist absolutely lost it, begging not to be eaten like in those creepy bedtime stories. Kazas rolled his eyes. He casually dropped that he was currently on a strict human-free diet. Instead of a snack, the boy was getting a promotion. Kazas offered to teach this little heretic the super mysterious poetry of flowers and winds. Our hero was totally skeptical. How could a random elf teach him the sacred arts of his own people? Plus, he pointed out the obvious flaw. He literally possessed zero magic skills. The elf just gave a wicked grin. Did the kid want to know the ultimate anti-mage secret? Drumroll, please. If you chop a mage's neck, they die just like any other idiot. Genius. Snap their spine, stop their heart, game over. And Kazas was the undisputed master of this very brutal, non-magical art. Intrigued, our boy asked if this sheer physical violence could actually rival the mystical arts. Kazas basically shrugged. If the kid wanted to be a skeptic, he could just stay blind and weak. The elf knew all about the sister beatdown. He offered the exact power needed to crush her massive ego. The gears in his head started turning. Could this eccentric old man actually give him the ultimate payback? As the master dramatically turned to leave, the bait was fully swallowed. Our boy dropped his pride and begged to be trained. And just like that, an unlikely duo was born. Fast forward a whopping 10 years. Back in the present day, Aldous was still completely mind-blown that he had survived training with the legendary weirdo. Our hero casually confirmed the rumors. Yes, his master was a total loon, slightly perverted and very elvish. But hey, he never actually ate anyone. Meanwhile, Aldous had spent years having nightmares about him becoming elf chow. Our guy honestly wondered if Aldous was out of the loop. The old man was strictly running on a diet of sugary treats, cheap candy, and heavy liquor. He even called her out for secretly setting them up. Sweating bullets. Aldous quickly changed the subject to Ariel's latest stunt. Apparently, his psycho sister had just wiped out a respected elder and swiped the ultimate divine grimoire, classic Ariel. She was acting exactly like their notoriously chaotic father. The apple really does not fall far from the crazy tree. Was she trying to hog all the ultimate power? Aldous shot that theory down. That grimoire was a giant headache to translate, and going solo was a terrible gamer move. Plus, Ariel was already chilling in the second domain. Once that translation wrapped up, she'd hit the absolute jackpot. Honestly, even for a backstabber, waiting for the final draft was the smarter play. Azadine knew his sister had major traitor potential. But her actual motive, a total comic book mystery. The old geezer warned Aldous that Ariel was basically a walking temper tantrum. Predicting her was a fool's errand. Logic, please. Ariel operated strictly on pure, unadulterated chaos. A total wildfire with zero chill. Cut to Ariel, dramatically clutching her Emperor's Raven, complete with a creepy red eye. Meanwhile, the kids noticed the grown-up talk was officially over. They also spotted the big boss herself, Aldous Jadaha, casually standing right there. Ishmael stared like he'd seen a literal goddess. Midiam just smirked, asking if that was his type. In reality, the dude was just totally nerding out over her super obvious divine traits. Rumors said the Emperor had a secret kid but divine blood here. Crazy. Then Midiam caught Azadine looking like a totally smitten fanboy. Spotting her jealous pout, Ishmael dropped a massive reality check. Sticking with Azadine, major hazard pay required. Thanks to his crazy sister, the Elder Council was probably drafting Azadine's execution order right now. A death warrant for his whole family tree, but Ishmael figured Azadine might score a lucky loophole. Their genius plan forced Azadine to smack down his own sister to prove his undying loyalty. Yikes. Knowing Ariel, she definitely packed a massive cheat code to dodge the expulsion and service curses. Midiam asked what Ariel's real deal was. Surprisingly, our boy Ishmael had it completely figured out. He bet Ariel wanted to totally sabotage the Divine King's book decoding. The reason: good old-fashioned family drama. See, all the juicy herald power was completely hoarded by the founder's snobby elite descendants. Deciphering the book wouldn't fix that rigged system. So peasant-born Ariel simply chose violence. Classic. Midiam's absolute worst fear, Ariel totally seducing Azadine. That girl would recruit a rock if it gave her a power boost. They might have serious sibling beef, but blood is blood. She was bound to slide into his life again. Meanwhile, the elders wanted to play mind games using Azadine as an undercover spy against his own twin. When Ishmael nodded like it was totally happening, Midiam officially slammed the panic button. If Azadine goes undercover, dragging servants along is a terrible stealth strategy. They'd be dumped into the trash instantly. Not on her watch. Midiam fiercely promised she'd cling to him like magical superglue. Her epic, glaring contest was cut short when Azadine's crew waltzed back inside. Morning was already breaking outside. Azadine played the caring gentleman, telling Aldous to nap. But she was super hyped, claiming their all-nighter was an absolute blast. Aldous casually announced she was dipping out. Our clueless hero just blinked. Wait, where to? Her grand plan, strolling right into the creepy mists to hunt down the chaotic Ariel. She warned him about the Elder's twisted loyalty test, asking straight up if he'd fight his sister. His smooth reply, "For you, anytime." But sibling bloodshed made her super sad, so our blind hero promised to only throw hands if Ariel swung first. Aldous waved it off like a bad joke. Oh please. Ariel would never do that. Changing the subject, Azadine bragged about scoring 2 whole copies of the Divine King's book. Color her incredibly impressed. He tried handing them over like a nervous kid with a report card. She immediately rejected it. Nope, you keep them. She promised to be his ultimate spiritual bodyguard, but warned that thirsty enemies might swarm him anyway. Loose pages are a totally messy liability. Instead, she slapped a shiny magical storage bracelet on his wrist. Epic upgrade. The absolute best bonus feature, it completely jammed the tracking magic of those highly annoying Kurt gods. With a wildly dramatic farewell, Aldous promised a romantic reunion at the Summer Solstice Festival. Always the absolute buzzkill, our pragmatic protagonist muttered that it would only happen if the festival wasn't cancelled. Back to the incredibly bumpy carriage ride. Hitting the city of Salasma, they immediately asked a passing heretic for spare change. Classy. The place was so hopelessly packed with refugees that people vanishing into thin air was just a normal Tuesday. The local boss complained about massive missing persons reports. Even the hired investigators were getting totally ghosted. The old geezer should have warned them way earlier, but acted like he was handing out free VIP passes. Midiam sighed, telling them to chill on the grandpa hate. He did score them a free luxury carriage ride after all. Tarkvi proudly announced his mom's fancy Baroness estate was just ahead. Right on cue, a local weirdo started screaming about Jupiter's return. Perfect comedic timing. When the stars align, doom awaits. The demons of Nedstrom will rise, the street preacher screamed. Repent, be good, give to charity. Midiam just rolled her eyes at the pathetic display. I missed the doomsday memo, she scoffed. His life is a mess, so he wants us all to burn with him. Her party members' sweat dropped. A bit harsh. No, everyone hits rock bottom sometimes. Without forgiveness, we have nothing. Midiam shot back. Then why doesn't he forgive Ariel first? Talk about double standards. Suddenly holding a grudge was perfectly fine for flawed humans. Ishmael smirked at the backpedaling. Meanwhile, noble Tarkvi burst into his grand estate screaming for his mommy. Ishmael tapped the ex-herald's shoulder. It wasn't just the front door. Every single entrance was barricaded. Tarkvi immediately locked horns with the stationed guards. When pressed, the panicking noble blurted out, his mother was gone. Time for a rogue investigation. Open these doors, the lordling barked, desperate to see the empty mansion with his own eyes. He shoved the ground floor duty onto the crew and sprinted upstairs. Mother, I am back. His desperate voice echoed through the silent, empty second floor. Our main character narrowed his eyes. The place was spotless, but gave off massive haunted house vibes. Jackpot. He picked up a tuft of wereat fur. Tarkvi's jaw hit the floor at the news. The Rat King Matsuri's minions had crashed the party. These flesh-eating mutants were pure nightmare fuel. Did those oversized rodents take my mother? Tark V demanded, shaking like a leaf. Our hero gave a grim nod. The foul stench of the rat cult was unmistakably fresh. If they grabbed her, she was likely lunch. But wait. A glowing spiderweb in her room. Magic pulsed from the silk. It clicked. That mercenary who cursed Tark V earlier, a literal spider demon. Mama Bear wasn't just sipping tea. The noble gulped, realizing his family estate hid some seriously dark skeletons. A hidden safe clicked open, revealing a creepy eight-legged crest. Tark V stood completely dumbfounded. Why the secrecy? Then it hit him. High society ladies worshipped the Spider Queen Atra for deadly charm. Plot twist. His mother was a secret cultist. No wonder the rival rat gang kidnapped her. Azadine, get down here. The kids yelled from downstairs, shattering the tense silence. They raided the safe. Our hero's eyes widened. 5 imperial gold coins, people killed for just 1. Black market gold. That made these shiny little lifesavers worth an absolute fortune. Save her and the gold is yours, Tark V pleaded. Azadine posed heroically. Heralds have dignity. We are not thieves. Dignity, you got expelled, loser. Midam roasted him instantly. Tark V gasped, totally out of the loop. Secret spider cults and massive slush funds. Mommy Dearest was basically an underworld boss. Outside the mansion, a shredded piece of her fancy dress fluttered near the estate well. A secret dungeon under the well classic. With this many missing folks, it was a guaranteed monster nest. A suicide mission, sure. But 5 gold coins called his name. He suited up in clunky silver armor. The kids stared in awe. A holy messenger, looking like a literal walking tank. Unheard of. Tight spaces demand thick plates, Azadine smirked. Grabbing heavy candelabras, they jumped into the abyss. Follow the paw prints. His polished armor acted like a giant mirror, reflecting the flickering candle fire. Every well in town led right to this creepy underground highway. The tracks went deeper into the gloom. Lights out. Zip it, he whispered. He spotted a sneaky tripwire bell ahead. The welcoming committee was close. Who goes there? He yelled into the darkness. Creepy shadows shuffled out, drawn by their earlier glow. Cover blown, the ex-herald tightened his grip and nudged the sheltered lordling forward. Show them who is boss. Tark V puffed up his chest. I am Tark V, son of the Border Marquis. The sketchy rogues busted their guts laughing. They mocked his fancy title and demanded to know their business. But the noble snapped back with surprising grit. No, you explain yourselves. Just looking for a bed, they lied. But the murderous, greedy glow in their eyes screamed otherwise. Shing Tark V drew his blade. Fake humans, real ratmen. He swung his sword with sudden killing intent. His sword bites into a shoulder and boom, instant makeover. Fur explodes. Claws pop out. Surprise, they are all giant, ugly ratmen. They bare their fangs with a classic villain line. Kill the dudes, kidnap the cute little girl. How original. Tarv loses his mind. Where is my mother, you overgrown rodents? He swings wildly, whiffs completely, and gets smacked right in the chest. Thank goodness for expensive plot armor. The heavy steel saves his life, while the rat squad laughs and calls him a total coward. Bloodlust activated. The furry quartet raises their weapons, charging in to wipe out the party and grab the prize. Step aside, amateur. Our main character shoves the noble away and delivers a glorious punch right to the rat's snout, sending it flying. Critical hit. The rest of the rat pack freezes in absolute terror. One punch. Is this guy for real? Oh, a free weapon. Don't mind if I do. Our hero swipes a massive mace and swings it like a baseball bat, completely crushing another rat's skull. Down for the count. In literally mere seconds, our overpowered herald sweeps the floor with the entire monstrous squad. Tarv panics. Wait, are you going to wipe them all out? We still need to interrogate them about my mom. Good point. Time for some aggressive negotiation. Our hero cracks his knuckles to beat the answers out of these useless, low-level mob characters. Loot drop acquired. They find a highly suspicious ink crest. If they play their cards right, this little clue is the ultimate cheat code. Back to the smelly sewer trek. Luckily, Midium spots a drainage grate up ahead that leads straight to the river. Time is money, people. Our hero orders a rapid retreat. They need to ditch this underground nightmare immediately. With a mighty heave, they pop the manhole cover and emerge like daisies right in the bustling city center. So much for stealth. They stand out like sore thumbs, but the clock is ticking. Ishmael drops a hint. The rat men are strictly night owls. His brilliant tactical advice, let us just camp out somewhere and jump them when it gets dark. Oh great, the neighborhood crazy guy is still screaming about repenting. Ishmael is absolutely done with this doomsday fanboys nonsense. The guy is a walking noise violation. Meanwhile, the group tries to confirm if the furry kidnappers use the sewers as their personal highway. Time for some big brain logic. The bad guys must have a massive hideout and some serious wheels to transport all those missing people. Take the totally not suspicious Order of the Knights of Redemption, for example. Huge building, constantly recruiting, very sketchy. But our hero shakes his head. Nope, that is too obvious. Midium sighs, begging him to use common sense since he is a herald, not a holy knight. Our hero flashes a knowing grin. Sounds crazy, just grab some popcorn and watch the master at work. He strolls right up to the flag-waving fanatic. The lunatic's eyes sparkle, thrilled for a new audience, and starts screaming about the incoming age of Jupiter. Playing along, our hero pretends to be super moved. Here, take my money, you are totally opening the eyes of the sheeple. The street preacher practically tears up. What a wholly generous youth, he happily pockets the cash. Trap set. Our hero casually asks if the local charity shelter is still open for business. The old building is totally wrecked, so the holy work moved to the warehouse district. Our hero slyly asks if the preacher has peeked inside lately. The fanatic shudders. No way, the vibes there are completely atrocious. I have avoided that dump for ages. Plus, the oh-so-righteous knights claim the basement is leaking deadly poison gas. Classic cover-up story. They slapped a huge keep-out sign on it. It links right to the sewers, and rumor says there is a massive secret booze stash down there. As VIP service for the donation, the crazy guy offers a guided tour. The ugly truth our hero suspected is finally out in the open. Ding-dong delivery. Arriving at the grand base of the saviors, the guards stop him. Are you here for the soup kitchen, beggar? Noting his blind eyes, the guards drop their guard. Perfect timing. He flashes the sketchy crest he snagged down in the rat sewers. Their jaws hit the floor. Sweating bullets, our hero acts totally innocent. A nice man in the sewer said, "This gets me free snacks." Panic mode engaged. The knights nervously demand the secret password. Our totally clueless hero shrugs. Password, I just heard I needed to bring 10 buddies. The knights exchange a greedy look, swing the heavy doors open, and welcome him to the trap. Cue the creepy villainous smirks. Come right in, little lamb, the special supplies are waiting just for you. As soon as his boots cross the threshold, the illusion breaks. Midium was spot on. The floor is literally painted with fresh blood. Oops. The inner circle of holy men starts whispering angrily. Idiots, we do not do intake during daylight hours. What is this guy doing here? The guard awkwardly excuses himself. But boss, he is blind, easy prey. The corrupt priests instantly flip the switch to fake saint mode. Oh, praise the heavens, welcome poor lost soul. They fake a warm, totally unnatural excitement that just screams danger.